cars have to have engines or else they're not proper cars, are they?
Stimulating late-night sporting debate for long-distance lorry drivers,
14 for the copy.
young mums,
What time do you call this? Coming on?
and students who've taken too many of those caffeine tablets.
The Two Mikes, Parry and Graham on Talk Sport.
Look at the light! It is so brilliant, you won't believe it. It's so simple. It smacked me in the face this afternoon.
Okay, tell us then.
I'm going to buy a bus. Oh, you butler. Get that bus out.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes, or at least we will be the Two Mikes. If my man on the front desk is right, he says that Porky's just arrived. And here he is, Mr. Mike Porky Parry.
Oh, sorry.
Thank God, for heaven's sake. I mean, what sort of a preparation do you call this?
Well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to
Well,
do?
you're supposed to get a decent car that's not some kind of old jalopy that's constantly breaking down. Constantly
the
breaking
nightmare
down.
I've just been through.
Well, I mean, you're only in Croydon, for heaven's sake. I mean, what on earth is going on with your car? What is going on? You look a bit...
The effort I've put in to get here.
You look a bit sweaty.
Oh, no.
Have you been running?
No, I'm not that. No,
Have you been running?
No, I'm not that. No.
Well, tell us the tale. Come on, tell us what happened.
Well, I just emerged into stockbroker belts, Surrey, obviously, you know, and
Well, hang on, you live in stockbroker belts.
I do, and I was just.
You just come out the front door.
Well, no, I just got the car out the old underground car park, and I was heading north, obviously, heading north.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it must have been 5 minutes, so it was too far from home to turn back.
Yeah.
I was in no man's land, and suddenly, I'm just plugging these
Which part of stockbroker belt Surrey is no man's land?
Sorry.
Eh?
Well,
exactly.
No, what I meant was I was too far from home to be able to walk back. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, ping.
Ping.
You know that terrible pinging noise you get when something's gone wrong and your computer on your dashboard wants to tell you something?
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I thought, what can that be? I thought maybe a dodgy connection on the seatbelt, because I've had that before, you know?
Okay.
They haven't pushed it in properly.
You had your seatbelt on, though.
Seatbelt on.
Yeah.
And
if you put something on the passenger seat, sometimes it can be
yes.
a sign that says you should have a seatbelt on, even though, in fact, there's nobody sitting there.
Yes, that's absolutely... Sorry, I'm moving around here. I'm just getting
would you mind,
sorted.
you're getting sorted?
Yeah, hang on,
it's very unprofessional behaviour, this.
So, well, hang on. What do you mean unprofessional?
Very unprofessional.
I think it's very professional for me in such a crisis to have even got here.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
Got here on time.
Congratulations. Maybe you should leave earlier. Maybe you should leave at the time you say you leave instead of the time you actually do leave.
Maybe I'll have to. So what happens is, ping. So immediately I assess the situation to find out I've got a blown out tyre.
Ping.
Yeah, on the driver's side
would be
back.
Blown out tyre number 10, would it?
7.
7.
On my last... in 3 years. 7 in 3 years.
No, it's less than 3. You haven't had the car 3 years.
I've had it 1 year, but I had the previous car 2.
No, but you had about 7 with this car.
No,
you must have had.
No, I haven't. This is the...
How many times have you been to Quick Fit in the last 12 months?
7 times. That's what I'm saying. No, not in the last 12 months.
In the last 12 months, you've been there at least 4 times, to my knowledge.
7 times I've had to have work done on the tyre or a tyre replacement, right?
Yes.
And before that, I had 4 Jaguars over 8 years, and I never had a single problem with a tyre. I just don't understand it at all. It's a mystery. But anyway, to tell you about my heroic battle, I then had to decide what to do. So I abandoned the car and I waved a car down. A chap very kindly stopped.
You waved a car down?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't get somebody to call the cops on you.
No. This guy recognised me. Actually, it was fine. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I made a show of the fact that I was, in crisis.
What do you mean you made a show? What, you pretended you were in a bad way?
No, I opened the door wide and I started sort of, wave my arms around.
Did you have one of those triangles out?
No, I didn't get the triangle out. No. In fact, that's my only fear now.
I hope you've got one of those triangles.
I've got a triangle.
That is the law now. Yeah, right.
My only fear now is I don't care if somebody nicks the car, but there is I
wouldn't worry about it if somebody nicks the car. It's a load of old rubbish. You take it to the scrapyard.
No. This is excuse me. This is an elite sports version of a Mercedes Fastback.
Yeah, but it's only got 3 wheels.
The problem is, what I'd remembered and which I've left in the car, and it's causing me, terrible stress, is the manuscript for the first 2 Mike's book.
You've left it in the car?
I've left it in the car, yeah.
Dear God.
Yeah, that could get nicked, which would be a big problem.
It would be a big problem. You made a copy of it.
No.
You haven't made a copy?
No, there isn't a copy of it. No,
You've made no copy
I
of
picked it up
this
this
very,
morning.
very top-secret document.
Obviously, our publishing agent will have one, but I don't have one. Anyway, so I waved my arms around. This guy says, can I help you? And he said, oh, I know who you are, yeah, jump in. And he was going to West Croydon, which is about...
Wasn't Ian Holloway, was it? I know who you are.
No, I know who you are. No, it wasn't, no. And so I said, that's great. So he said, jump in. He said, I'm going to West Croydon.
Yeah.
I said, but you need to take me to Victoria in London. I said, it's an emergency. Well, because, that's a London landmark.
Take you to Victoria. Why don't we bring you here?
Well, that's what I said.
We don't work in Victoria.
I know, but he didn't seem to know he didn't seem to know London Central very well. I said, just head for Victoria, mate. He said, oh, I can't. He said, honestly, I've got responsibilities. He was something to do with London Transport.
Was he?
And I think he had to close up West Croydon Station,
really?
I think so, yeah. That's what I got.
How bizarre.
I sort of gathered, yeah.
That's very odd.
Yeah,
so he took you to West Croydon. Was there a train then?
Yes, there was. Last one.
Right.
He said, oh, no, there wasn't.
There wasn't a train?
No, I tell you what it was.
Yeah.
There was a tram. So he actually said...
And where's the tram go?
Well, this is the point. It goes to East Croydon from West Croydon.
Well, that doesn't help you, does it?
Well, he said, you get on this... No, he stopped the tram for me. He stopped the tram for me.
Yeah.
And he said, go on here. He said, and 2 stops time, that'll go to East Croydon.
Yes.
I said, what do I do then? He said, at East Croydon, there will be one last train left going to Victoria.
Yes.
And I still said, look, I can get a cab or something. He said, you haven't got any cabs around here at this time of night, mate. Really?
It's pretty ridiculous, actually, because East Croydon is quite a busy place.
Well, I'm sorry about West Croydon now, So he said, go to East
I've never been to West Croydon.
And I thought, well, there's a cab rank outside East Croydon, isn't there? And he said, yeah. He said, but do you know how long it'll take for that cab to get from East Croydon to where you want to go? Yeah. And I said, no. He said, the train is quicker. It comes in 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
So I sprint down the the long runway down to the platform.
Yeah.
I get in there and I just throw myself on the train at the last minute.
Right.
And
was it going straight to Victoria? Or did it stop?
It was going to Selhurst, the home of Crystal
Palace. Quite a slow train then.
Well, no, that was the only stop, and then Clapham Junction.
Okay.
And then Victoria. And at Clapham Junction, I held the doors open, refused to let the train go, until I'd discerned from the chap with the baseball bat, for want of a better word, on the platform.
By the baseball, you mean the guy that
who waves the trains off?
It's not really a baseball bat; it's more of a sort of a paddle.
A paddle. A paddle's a better word.
Yeah.
And I said to him, now listen, mate.
How long is this story going to take?
No, it won't take long. I said, if I get off this train, which is going to Victoria, is there another train that goes to Waterloo? Because that's nearer where I'm going.
Yes.
And he didn't seem to understand what I was saying.
There isn't a train from Victoria to Waterloo.
No, this was at Clapham Junction.
Oh, I see.
From Clapham Junction to Waterloo.
Oh, I get you.
And he didn't seem to know, so I thought I can't take the risk. So I stayed on the train to Victoria, got to Victoria, sprinted out of Victoria Station into the road. There was a chap there in a black cab. And
a cab driver.
Yeah, a cab driver. And I refused to tell him where I wanted to go. When he opened the window, I just jumped in. I wasn't going to debate the issue. I just jumped in.
Well, he's hardly going to refuse to take you across town 10 minutes, is he?
And I said, Harefields, quick.
Harefields?
Yes.
Why'd you say Harefields?
It's where our.
He would have taken you up to Uxbridge, wouldn't he?
No, actually, I didn't. Do you know what I said? I've just remembered. I said Stamford Street.
Right.
That's right. That's near, isn't it? Yeah.
You're thinking Hatfields, aren't you?
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
But if you said Harefields,
I know I did.
That would have obviously taken you to your heart specialist.
Mine was frizzled a bit. So anyway, eventually just got here on time. A bit disappointed that the Metropolitan Police, under their new commissioner, Miss Cressida Dick, didn't provide a police escort. That would have helped, but,
Well, here you are. So thankfully you have turned out.
Yes,
we've got a very busy show. We've got an awful lot to talk about, right? Because Liverpool had a terrible night. Leicester have obviously, and quite rightly, forgotten all about Claudio Ranieri.
Yeah.
We've got Postman Pork to do.
We certainly have.
We've got to film that. We've also got Heroes and Villains. And, of course, we're going over to Hollywood to find out what on earth is going on with the people that organise the Oscars.
An absolute disaster. And by the way, on the Leicester front, I said at the weekend, I said, look, the crisis management position Leicester in, they had to get rid of their manager to get something out of their players. He couldn't motivate them anymore. What happened? They get rid of him, and tonight they got motivated.
He's motivated by Mr. Shakespeare.
Isn't that a brilliant name?
Craig Shakespeare.
Do you know?
It's an odd name, isn't it?
No, it's not. I've been tempted in the last few years to change my name to Horatio Nelson, because... What's your problem?
Because I think people would think you'd gone completely gaga.
No, I think it's brilliant to have. I think to have a name like Shakespeare.
Well, you can't
is so
change
wonderful.
your name because we are the two Mikes. You'd have to be Mike Nelson.
yeah.
Wasn't he the guy that was in Coronation Street?
I'm not
Mike
sure.
Nelson.
The only problem
Who was
is
Mike Nelson?
somebody might put me in a half Nelson.
Or Mike Half Nelson.
Yeah, Mike Half Nelson.
I'm sure there was somebody called Mike Nelson.
No,
You can't change your name now.
There's nobody called Mike Nelson. But
I'm thinking of Mike Baldwin.
Mike Baldwin. I'm thinking of the great names like Shakespeare runs Leicester now.
Yeah.
Jesus plays for Manchester City.
Jesus plays for Manchester City. Yeah.
Can you
think of any others?
It's great names. There must be a Colossus somewhere and a.
Probably plays for AEK Athens.
Hercules.
There was a Hercules, a Brazilian player, wasn't
there? Was, that's right, yeah.
Sophocles.
Yeah, Sophocles, that's right, all these sort of players.
Okay, well, we'll see. Maybe we can get some traction going on that.
Yeah.
But very good that you're here.
Thank
you very much indeed for making it in time.
Yes,
I was totally prepared to start the show on my own if I had to. But fortunately, Porky has made it. I managed to get a picture off our doorman who saw him coming in.
That's right.
Looking a little bit dishevelled, but he's here nonetheless. This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes.
The Two Mikes, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
I've been driving in my car. It's not quite a Jaguar. I bought it in Primrose Hill. From a bloke from Brazil. It was made in 59 in a factory by the Tyne. It says Morris on the door, the GPO owned it before.
Quite an apt song, that, isn't it? Played by John Hearn.
It certainly is, yeah. Well done, John.
I've been driving in my car.
Indeed,
I've been driving in my car. It's not quite a Jaguar.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And neither it is. And if you had one, you'd have been here earlier.
Hey, do you remember years ago, we used to have a colleague at the Daily Star called Dick Durham.
I do remember Dick Durham, yeah.
Dick was an inveterate drunk.
Indeed.
He once got...
Is he still around?
I don't know, but he was a great guy.
Yeah.
But he was an inveterate drunk, and I remember he came to a party once at the City Golf Club.
Yeah.
And he literally fell down the stairs, because
Right.
he go downstairs, and crashed. I mean, he had so much momentum, he fell down the stairs and crashed into the bar,
Right.
smashing every champagne glass. It was somebody's
Yeah, because the
like,
bar
big
was
leaving
right at the
do.
bottom of the stairs.
That's right, yeah.
Very unwisely.
Yeah, and it was somebody's leaving do, and it was somebody important,
Yeah.
and so there were buckets of champagne all over the place, and I would say 30 champagne glasses, and he came tumbling down the stairs, went head first into the bar, smashed everything, knocked all the champagne bottles and the glasses and everything. Anyway, the point of my story is, Dick never cared for authority. We had a managing editor in those days called Struan Cooper.
I remember Struan Cooper,
Struan Cooper
he was quite a pompous guy.
Pompous little Scotsman, but he did the actual poacher gamekeeper thing.
Yeah.
Well,
most of those guys did.
Yeah, they did. He did.
Because they come from one side of journalism to become the sort of administrative chief of everybody's expenses.
1 minute he was father of the chapel, which in newspaper terms is the head of the union, the head of the NUJ union, and he was, giving the management a hard time.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the management decided to buy him out and asked him if he'd like to become the managing editor, whose job would be to resist all union demands.
Yeah.
So he completely flipped and went on the other side.
Of course he would.
And they gave him a Jaguar car and everything, and a big office and all this kind of stuff, and he was brilliant at then sort of closing the union demands down. But the point of my story is he was the guy who issued the company cars, Struan Cooper.
Oh, yes.
And that song that old Suggs has just sung,
Yeah.
Dick came into a meeting one night with Cooper there, and
Right.
Dick had somehow got some sort of position within the NUJ, the union.
Yeah.
And he was inebriated again, and he said, I like driving in my car, given to me by Cooper, and then swore at him, and was promptly fired.
Dear God.
Yeah.
Terrible stuff. Now, a lot of tweets have come in. James says, come on, Porky, get on with it, man. 15 minutes wasted on Porky's travel woes.
What? Sorry, don't you think it's important?
Scott says, have you seen the time? Mike Parry, get on with it.
Yeah.
JPK says, Harefield, baseball bat, frizzled. Please check if Mike Parry's brain is working at third, or has the sprinting totally enervated him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Our friends over in Seattle, Shed End Seattle, are these tyres blown or just reporting a loss of pressure?
Well,
Mike Parry's giving Mercedes-Benz a bad name.
No, I'm not giving them a bad name at all because I love the car. It's a great car. But can I tell you...
But you seem to have an awful lot of tyre problems.
I do have tyre
You've
problems.
got more tyre problems than Nico Rosberg.
And if you say...
Sure, it's not the way you drive the car.
Of course it's not the way I drive the car. I drive the car like any sensible, responsible driver. What I'm saying is...
I wouldn't call you sensible and responsible at all.
This question, are those tyres blown or just for loss of pressure?
Yeah.
I can't see the difference in this case. If all the other tyres are 265 to 280,
yeah,
and this one is 80...
And what is that, pounds per square inch?
Yeah, that's right. We've sorted that out, haven't we?
I think so.
Then... it's not just a loss of pressure. The tyre's gone, isn't it? So I'm going to have to go and see my man at QuickFit tomorrow morning.
What does the tyre look like?
What?
What does the tyre look like?
It's hard to say because I can only see it by sort of the...
Can you shine a torch on it?
No, I didn't get the torch out the boot. I've got a torch, but I didn't have time. I had to get it, and I could only see it by the street lights. And because they're so narrow, those tyres,
they're very thin, aren't they?
They're very thin in depth.
Well, maybe you should get a different style of wheel because maybe the wheels that you've got are not suited.
Well, the wheels
to
that
the terrain
Mercedes put on them, so
yeah, no, I know, but it might be good for motorway driving. But you're doing too much speed bump driving, anyway, that sort of thing. What do you mean anyway? I'm trying to help you out here.
I know you're trying to help me out.
I'm saying you should get some better wheels. Maybe the alloys are too big, right?
Yes.
Cut them down a little bit. What size are they?
19-inch.
So you don't need 19. 19 inches are the ones I've got, right?
Yeah.
Which are a much bigger car. You need to get it down to 18 inches, get better tyres, which are more suited to metropolitan, urban driving. And I bet you'll have fewer incidents.
But I didn't put the wheels on the car when I bought it. They were already on.
No,
so
I know.
It's not for me to...
But you can get different wheels put on. That's
I'm
my
not going
point.
to change the wheels. I know nothing about wheels on cars. Anyway, look, I think we should now talk about other things.
Yes,
because
I agree.
Although it's very important...
Just trying to help you out.
My well-being and welfare, the audience would like to hear about other things. For instance, the Leicester result was fantastic, and Jamie Vardy looked like Jamie Vardy last season again. I thought he was terrific.
In fact, it looked as though...
Drinkwater looked terrific.
It looks as though, in some ways, that the guy that's been playing for Jamie Vardy all season is that Jamie Vardy lookalike.
Yes.
Because he stopped making money actually being Jamie Vardy's
he came
lookalike.
here every day.
Yeah.
And started bothering people. He started helping people.
Well, no, people wanted to be photographed with him because he did look very like it.
He did, yeah.
I mean, I remember going outside and he was sitting in the front desk area.
That's right, yeah.
And I was waiting for you, I think, after one of the shows we'd done at lunchtime.
Yeah.
And this guy stopped outside and went, "Look, that's Jamie Vardy."
That's right, yeah.
And I went, "Actually, no, it's his lookalike." He said, "Well, he looks exactly like you. Sure, it's not him." I said, "No, I'm very sure it's not
exactly,
him."
That's right, yeah.
But it seemed as though he was playing for Jamie Vardy, and instead of scoring those kind of goals, suddenly the real Jamie Vardy came back. 603 minutes.
Yeah.
He hadn't scored a goal in the league.
Well, hang on. Do you know that Leicester hadn't scored a goal
all
this calendar year?
In the league only, of course.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe that.
Well, not only that, but they became the last football team in all of the leagues to score a goal this year.
That's right. That's absolutely
which is quite remarkable.
It was quite remarkable.
But does it not also tell you that all of these sort of bleeding heart types that were going on and on and on about the death of football and how Leicester have been a terrible, terrible betrayal of a club to get rid of the man that made so much happen for them? It's all rubbish, isn't it?
Well, some people at the weekends were putting out all this, Leicester players hang their heads in shame.
Yeah.
I have said consistently from the very start of this crisis, Claudio Ranieri was a lucky man to have inherited the team he inherited at Leicester. They went on to win the Premier League, so he did well to steer them to it.
I don't think what we should do is diminish his achievement.
I'm not, but what I'm saying is that a lot of critics were saying they're actually calling them bastards. They're saying those Leicester players, they've cost Ranieri his job. They haven't. Mr. Ranieri had the job of addressing a group of players who were very different from the season before, because they were now Premier League champions, and adjusting his management style and methods to their new expectations in life, and he clearly wasn't able to do that.
He wasn't able to do it, but I think that there's a difference between saying that, which is entirely true, and saying, oh, well, they would have won the championship anyway without Claudio Ranieri. I think he played a massive part because of the way that he handled it, because of the way that he allowed them to realise that there was no need to feel pressure, because he was very relaxed and he was very chilled out, bought them pizza, did the dilly dong thing.
Yes, that's right.
And so I think his part in it was very key. So let's not say that anybody could have done it. Well, you basically said that he inherited a team that was the same, that was built up by Nigel Pearson, and so the players would have won it on their own. I don't think that's true.
No, he kept that team on course. I mean, he guided them and kept them on course. Very wise old Al, knew exactly what to do. All I'm saying is that they then become Premier League champions. And you can't have the same attitude towards your players when they're Premier League champions that you had when they were relegation candidates 12 months earlier.
Yeah.
And he didn't adapt.
Yes, that's true. Max says this. There is a Mike Nelson. He's an artist who's been nominated twice for the Turner Prize.
Really?
In 2001 and 2007.
That's all.
That must have been who I was thinking of.
The Turner Prize is a bit of a farce thing.
Well,
isn't
I
it?
wouldn't say that. Coxie says this. Is Mike Porky Nelson really Buster Crab? Has he been diving on Russian warships in Pompey Harbour?
I think not.
And you've got some sympathy here from Matt, who says, I'm just glad that Porky is OK.
Thank you.
Tiregate could have been a hell of a lot worse than it was.
Thank you.
I suppose if
That's
you'd
a
been
bit of
driving at
sympathy.
high speed up a dual carriageway,
Exactly.
and the back tyre had blown, have you been trained in how to control a skid?
Yes, I know to control a skid. You steer into a skid always.
Really?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
But you see, the point is that I think it must have been a blowout because when you get into the car and you start it up, all the systems on your... what are you laughing at? What's your problem?
Ian says, if Porky's tyres were 280 per square inch, they would explode.
No, they are 280.
Probably metric pressure.
Well, probably metric pressure then, or some, they are. But what I was saying is, you know when you switch your car on, yours is exactly the same because all modern cars have similar systems.
Yeah.
Everything lights up on your dashboard, and if that tyre was only 80 when I got into the car, it would have registered.
So you think it might have hit something on the way down the road?
I think I've run over something. I think I've run over a nail or something
you
like
must
that.
live in a very, very dangerous area because...
Well, I don't understand it. Most of the tyre problems have happened outside of where I live.
Yeah.
They've normally happened on the way home, not at home.
But I think you should avoid the quick fit guy as well, because I think he may be playing some
he's a great
part in
guy.
this. I think he's driving things into your tyres. Because you're humiliating him every time you see him by handing him cash.
No, that's a sign of appreciation.
I think you might be feeling like you're treating him as some kind of an underling.
I think not.
Because don't forget, when you took the car to Mercedes for a service, did they not discover a massive nail in a tyre that he had previously said was all right? Because they X-rayed it. They X-rayed it, you told me.
No, I can't confirm or deny that. I don't know
you told me that.
But that nail could have entered the tyre on the way from QuickFit to the Mercedes thing.
Now, how about this? Ian says, I can't believe Porky hasn't mentioned the sad passing of the Golden Vision.
Well, I was about to say
Call
to
yourself
you...
an Evertonian.
No, please. The one thing I was going to say was one thing I wanted to say
be fair,
tonight.
You did mention it on Twitter earlier in the day.
Of course I did, and not only that, it's the first thing I mentioned when I came in here. The Golden Vision, Alex Young, sadly passed away at the age of 80. He was my first great footballing hero. He was a slight sort of a chap with blonde hair, came from Heart of Midlothian.
Yeah.
He came to Everton. He actually scored in the... I remember because I was there. He scored in the 1966 FA Cup final, but the goal was ruled off.
Oh yeah.
In the first half, and we went on to win 3-2. And Trebilco got all the glory for that one. But he was just...
Trebilco, there's a name I haven't heard.
Yeah,
for a
Mike
while.
Trebilco. He emigrated to Australia.
Yeah.
And all I can say is that I exchanged a few messages with a few Evertonians tonight, and we all agreed that man didn't walk; he floated. He was just a magical, mystical footballer, and we all loved him to bits.
Was he from Edinburgh?
Yes, he was. Yeah,
so he was a Scottish international, presumably as well.
Yes, Scottish international, and also in retirement for many years ran a bar in Edinburgh.
Yeah,
and it was always a great ambition
I wonder which one. I must look that up.
Yeah, to go up there and go into there and be served a pint of ale by the Golden Vision, but I never got around to doing it. Sadly.
Yes, a very sad story. But
won
the
league with Everton in 63, won the FA Cup in 66, scored 127 goals. And there was a famous incident in Blackpool, right? What happened was, Everton were playing in Blackpool in the season we won the FA Cup in 66.
Yeah.
And Harry Catterick, who was a very dour man, he didn't have much of a relationship with the fans, to be honest. He put Joe Royle at the age of 16 into the team at Blackpool, and... at the end of the game, a group of fans had gathered around the Everton coach, and it is claimed, although I've never met an eyewitness to it, that Catterick was kicked to the ground by Everton fans for dropping Alex Young and putting 16-year-old Joe Royle in the team that day. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How bizarre. Well, we'll talk some more about that coming up. We've got Tim Vickery joining us. We've also got Sandra Bonetti coming up from Hollywood as well. And don't forget, it is the night we do Postman Pork as well. This is TalkSport.
Oh, Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? My friends all drive Porsches. I must make amends. Worked hard all my lifetime. No help from my friends. So, oh, Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz?
Andy says this, Porky needs some balloon tyres on his Merc rather than low profiles. It'd be like wearing an Armani suit with a pair of trainers. Hashtag very him.
I know what you're talking about.
And Jim Shelley says, can you ask Horatio Nelson if he will be reviewing Broadchurch in Porky Vision?
Yes, may well be.
Really?
May well be.
It's a bit early to tell, isn't it?
Bit early to tell.
It was on last night again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It started on Sunday.
No, started last night, Monday.
It started on Monday?
Yes.
No, it started on Sunday.
No, it didn't.
I'm sure it did.
No, I told you it was starting on Sunday night when we were working on Sunday.
No, but I'm sure that when I got home,
no,
because we had to make a choice as to whether to watch it on Sunday. No. Because it said it on the guide. It starts at 9 o'clock.
No, honestly, it didn't start on
really?
Sunday. It started on Monday.
So you gave me the wrong information.
I did. I gave you bum information. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
No, okay.
I thought it started Sunday night, so I went home, anticipating this, first episode.
Yeah.
Only to find that there was nothing on at 9 o'clock that represented Broadchurch.
How bizarre!
Because you said to me it would clash with your Homeland.
Well, yeah, Homeland, which I always watch.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I saw it on the guide that it said it was on.
No, it wasn't. No, it's definitely on Monday night.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
that would explain why when at 10 o'clock when Homeland was finished.
Yes.
And I went onto the ITV iPlayer to see whether I could watch Broadchurch an hour later.
Yeah.
There wasn't on.
It wasn't there. Well, you see, that should have given you a hint, shouldn't it, eh?
That's slightly disturbing that in your situation as the TV reviewer of Talk Sport, that you're not actually sure when anything's on.
Well, it's been a busy weekend, you see. Busy weekend.
Well, it certainly was a busy weekend. We were up at Wembley on Sunday, which was great.
Yeah, it was great.
I saw a lot of people that wanted to say hello, which was very nice.
Yes,
enjoyed all that.
I'll tell you who was very nice, the young lady from Southampton who spoke to us.
Lucy, yes.
Yeah, Lucy. She looked very elegant with those headphones on. She almost looked like a star in her own right.
She brought a little bit of glitter and glamour to the show.
And she brought her sister with her as well, who was an equally glamorous young lady.
Sister was nice.
And their parents were there, so it was a real sort of family visit for the Southampton family, getting up there for the, the big game, the cup final, all that kind of stuff. And by the way, because we haven't had our say on this, how unlucky were Southampton?
Well, they were quite unlucky. What a great game, though. I mean, I can't remember a League Cup final that's ever been that good.
I can't. And also, how unlucky were Southampton? Because the first goal in 11 minutes, which was ruled out, was a perfectly legitimate goal.
Turns out that it was. Matt Letizier's not happy about it, is he?
Well, I don't blame him. And also, Jose Mourinho's not happy about it because he's almost like he's won his first trophy by default.
I don't think he cares about that.
Well,
when he won the UEFA Cup with Porto against Celtic.
Yes.
He won that by nefarious means. He didn't care.
No, he didn't.
I
went to that game.
The Porto players were disgraceful that night. They were. Any Celtic fan will tell you.
They put the boots in all over the place, didn't they?
They were playing dirty. They were diving about all over the place.
Still won it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Jose Mourinho does not care how he wins trophies.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm sure he will not be sitting around drinking his extremely expensive wine from that Vintners in Mayfair. Hedonism wine, saying, I wish that, we had won it legitimately.
Sure.
But they did win it legitimately in the end.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is about last night's game, Leicester and Liverpool, is not only were Leicester very, very good, and showed they're great.
Well, a couple of people are tweeting in that Liverpool was so bad, actually, that it's flattering to deceive.
Funny enough, I was about to say, watching Jamie Carragher after the game, who, of course, is a man who represented Liverpool with great distinction, and England, of course, he was incredibly critical of the way Liverpool played and said that, they
were
really
a bit toothless, weren't they?
Yeah, really didn't do themselves favours. Now, then I saw Klopp afterwards talking, and I'm just wondering, right, I'm not having a go at Liverpool, so, don't come the old, pro-Everton, anti-Liverpool stuff.
Well, inevitably there will be those accusations made.
I'm just wondering if old Kloppy, right, is a lot, a lot of mouth and trousers,
mouth and no trousers.
Mouth and no trousers.
Well, I mean,
he talks a terribly good game, but so far it hasn't been backed up by anything that produces, solid metal, so to speak.
Well, I mean, I suppose he's been slightly hamstrung by the amount of money he's been able to use to buy players in. He's been slightly hamstrung by the style of ownership, which comes from the Fenway Sports Group, doesn't he? Because they don't like buying players who are expensive. They only like buying players who are cheap and either developing them or selling them on. But he had this problem at Borussia Dortmund because, he had that great year where he won the league. Then he had that other great year, made it to the final of the Champions League.
That's right.
But then they were practically in the bottom four for the next part of the season, weren't they?
They were, yeah.
So, I mean, it's difficult to work out what's going on with Klopp.
He has such an avuncular way about him, you know what I mean?
I refuse to call him Kloppy, by the way.
Okay, well, okay.
But you could call him that if you wish.
No, you're absolutely right. And then you wonder why he's so even-mannered all the time. Unlike other managers, I mean, for instance, Pep Guardiola in particular, he doesn't get edgy and
he gets
shippy.
edgy on the touchline.
He gets edgy on the touchline, but he doesn't get edgy with journalists.
With journalists, no. But I mean, that's good, I think. That's a good thing.
Well, I think it's a good thing, but it might also show that his levels of expectation do not match those of I mean, it's a terrible accusation. Match those of Pep Guardiola or Jose Mourinho.
Well, I don't think he's quite in their bracket, is he?
No.
Not yet. I mean, it may well be that he becomes as good as they are.
Yeah.
But, and people who say, oh, well, what's so great about them?
Yes.
What's so great about them is that they've won the Champions League.
That's right.
Which he hasn't done.
Absolutely.
Now, have you seen this story about the Adelphi Hotel?
They're going to close it down, aren't
they?
They're
going to compulsory purchase order on it.
And then close it down.
Yeah. I mean, how can you even
made
sit
us
there?
go there?
Well, you did. I'll tell you what made us go there. You said to me, oh, it's one of the great iconic hotels in Liverpool.
It is.
What you didn't tell me was it was staffed by a bunch of sort of gorillas,
and it was a dump.
who were extremely foul-mouthed,
uncooperative,
rude, uncooperative, and quite frankly threatening.
Yes.
And were not allowing anybody into the hotel, even if they were accompanying somebody who was staying there.
Yeah.
The room was an absolute disgrace.
What the other thing, if you remember now, because all these things come back to you, is the staff behind the counter where you normally greet people with a smile and you dress nicely and all that. They all seem to be wearing bulletproof jackets.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Well, not only that, but you managed to pay for one room twice.
That's right.
And didn't get the money back to the Two Mikes account. It's a complete shambles.
The whole thing was a shambles. It wouldn't let you in unless you were a resident. You couldn't bring anybody in with you to join you in the bar. When you got into the bar on your own, there were no waiters or waitresses to serve you anything.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was a
absolute
terrible
shocking
place to
mess.
go.
Apparently, the council are saying that they want to redevelop the whole area. Right?
Exactly.
The master plan for the area around Lime Street and Brownlow Hill.
Yes.
Which it also calls the Knowledge Quarter Gateway.
Well, that's because it's student accommodation now, and it goes up the hill to Toxteth, where I covered the riots.
Yes, indeed.
In
1979 rather
1980.
understated in the Liverpool Echo is this paragraph. The Edwardian Adelphi was once one of the city's grandest hotels, but it has seen better days. Can you say that again?
You bet. When my old fellow was in the Navy during the war, on the rare occasions I got back to Liverpool, that's where his ship was based. I got back twice, I think, during the 6 years he was at sea. He stayed in a suite at the Adelphi because he was purser on the ship as well as everything else, and that means he had.
What do you mean as well as everything else?
Well,
he had 5 jobs.
No, but he manned a gun, you know what I mean?
So he was the purser?
Yeah.
He manned a gun?
Yeah,
that's what he told you?
Yeah. He was.
What else did he do?
He was an officer, so he's like sub-lieutenant or something like that. You know what I mean? But he had access to all the dosh on the ship, and
that doesn't sound like a good plan for any member of the Parry family.
That's a bit odd. And
did he come back with his pocket stuffed with cash by any chance?
Well, it wasn't stuffed with cash, but there was some kind of fiddle you could get into where when you went to India, you could do something with gold rupees or something like that. With money lenders.
What was he doing in India?
Well, his ship was in India.
What, during the war?
Yeah.
Well, now you tell me this. I mean, you've spent a lifetime making fun of my father because I was telling you how he was trained in India.
Yes.
And you said, they weren't in the war. What was he doing bombing India?
Yeah.
And you now tell me that your father was also in India.
They had to call into India for supplies. Ships have to be, resupplied all the time with food and fuel and all that kind of stuff.
Probably with food that was being flown around India by my dad.
Well, if you remember, we still had a huge empire at the start of the Second World War, which most people forget. And part of the empire was India. We didn't give it away till... that's not the right way.
When you say we gave it away,
we
allowed the democratic process to unfurl properly so that the people of India could govern themselves.
In 1948.
So
1947. Well, it was completed in 1948.
Partition of India was 1947.
And it was completed in 1948.
Well, it wasn't like building a wall.
No, the
partition of India happened in 1947.
What I'm saying is that the king gave up the title Emperor of India in 1948.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely certain.
You're not just being stubborn?
No. And
Maxwell says this. I've been driving for 32 years and I've never had a problem with tyres.
Well,
Corky has had more problems than the Michelin Man.
I drove for about 32 years before I had a single problem with a tyre, and then I've had 7 in the last 3 years. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. There is more rubbish on the roads these days than there ever used to be.
More rubbish on the radio as well.
No. Sorry? Well, that's down to you, not
is
me.
It? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's your contribution.
No, I think you'll find we've been nominated for an award by a very prestigious news organisation.
What?
I think you'll find we've been nominated for an award by a very prestigious news organisation.
That's right, we have, haven't we?
Yes.
And this is for our coverage of the
American election.
American elections.
Yes,
well, I'm looking forward to picking that one up and telling
absolutely right.
If we pick it up.
Well, let's hope they don't make a mistake like they did over in Hollywood with the Oscars.
Right,
I mean, the problem with that for me, is that aside from the fact that it's all supposed to be shrouded in secrecy and run by all these, accountants, and everything's audited and all that. Poor old Warren Beatty was made to look like an absolute bumbling buffoon, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, absolutely.
And he actually looked, if you see the footage, which I'm sure most people have, he looked as if he didn't know what was going on.
He looked very old to start off with, right?
Well, he is, and that's fair enough.
Old, yeah.
But he didn't look as though he was all there.
But you remember, when you're looking at him, you're looking at one of Hollywood's greatest ever sex symbols, right? This is a man who could coax any actress starlet into his boudoir.
Well, there was a quote from you earlier on when we talked about Warren Beatty some months ago.
Yes.
Today, saying from someone on Twitter whose name I can't remember, but it was very funny.
Yes.
Saying, why doesn't Warren Beatty just stick to waving his hairdryer around like a giant phallus?
Is that what I said?
Which is something that you had said.
Do you know, I saw that quote a few times today, and I thought, I wonder who said that.
Yeah, it was you.
Is that right? I didn't realise that.
It was.
But that was in the film called Shampoo, wasn't it?
Shampoo, exactly,
yeah, that's right, yeah.
With Julie Christie.
But of course, he was with the beautiful Faye Dunaway, and they starred together in Bonnie and Clyde.
Well, I mean, somebody that looks a bit like Faye Dunaway used to look.
Well, I don't think she's one of those beautiful women that Hollywood's ever sort of produced.
She was very beautiful.
Oh, very beautiful indeed.
But she's had a lot of work done, I fear.
Well, anyway, look, the point is, you're absolutely right. He takes the card out, and now we've seen the card. It said award for Best Actress, and it said Emma Lee, didn't it?
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone, that's right. And it said La La Land, right?
Yeah.
And so he looked at it and he thought, this is the wrong card. So at that juncture...
But he then hands it to Faye as if to say...
Well, he showed it to Faye.
There's something
he showed
wrong.
It to her.
Well, quite often the guy opens it and the woman reads it out,
that's
or
right,
vice versa, right? But it looked like to me he was handing it to her with a quizzical look on his face, there's something wrong here.
That's right.
And she just then blurts it out.
That's right, yeah, she did. She didn't read the card properly. And then in the melee that happened after that, the producer of, Moonlight, suddenly steps forward and says, we won it.
Well, no, it was La La Land who said, no, actually, you guys have won it. They had the statuette.
Yeah.
They were presented with it.
Yeah, but the producer of Moonlight stepped forward and snatched the card out of Warren Beatty's hand and said, it's ours. And that kind of, so it was very unseemly. And I tell you what, do you know what most amazed me? I didn't realise that Price Waterhouse Coopers, is it, PwC?
That's right.
They, for the last 88 years, have been in control of the arrangements for the awards, and the only two people who know who are the winners are the two people from that company, each of whom carry a leather... almost satchel, like a child's satchel.
Chain to their wrist, like
chain,
the old...
chain to their wrist, and each have a copy of the winning cards in, and somehow they managed to produce the spare card for Best Actress and give it to Warren Beatty when they should have given him Best Film.
Yes, well, we'll talk to Sandra Bonetti coming up, and we'll find out from him exactly what is going on and who's getting the blame. Up next, though, it's Tim Vickery. Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We've got loads coming up, including the Oscars fiasco, which we'll talk to Sandra Bonetti about. Right now, though, it's time to talk about football and a great many other things with Mr. Tim Vickery. Tim, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Very good morning to you, gentlemen. I thought Faye Dunaway looked terrific. I take the point that there may be some work's been done, but I thought she looked great.
Really?
I was a bit freaked out by Warren Beatty, to be honest, because and he was married to Madonna, for crying out loud. I took that, is that what happens to us all? Is that the way of all flesh?
Hang on, who was married to Madonna?
Warren Beatty wasn't married to Madonna, was he?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't, mate. Honestly.
He was in a movie with her. I don't think they were ever married, though.
Never married.
I think
you're thinking of Sean Penn. Sean Penn was married to Madonna.
Warren Beatty, I think, had a relationship with her as well. The audience
a lot of people in Hollywood have had a relationship with Madonna, and that's not to criticise her, but definitely she wasn't married to him. Sean Penn and... At
the time of the film, in bed with Madonna, early 90s, they were an item. There was... I remember Warren Beatty saying... about Madonna, she never wants to live off camera.
Right.
But anyway, there is someone who is looking much better than Warren Beatty. I've seen from a photo which appeared on Twitter.
Yes.
It's Mr. Mike Graham in a grey suit.
Thank you very much.
I thought was quite a fetching pink shirt. A lovely combination.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of...
Was this on Sunday?
Porky's forgotten about Sunday already because, his brain hasn't got that much capacity anymore. But yes, you're very kind. We were up in the Hilton at Wembley just before the League Cup final, which I was saying to Porky. And I'm a big fan of a pink and grey combination, as you quite rightly pointed out. Porky, unfortunately, looked like a tramp, as he always does.
No, I didn't. No, I looked casual, as I always am. I don't have to dress up in a suit to impress people that I am something in life. I just am. Simple as that.
Exactly
okay?
right. But actually, I don't know if you had a chance to see it. One of the most exciting League Cup finals, I think, for a long time.
It certainly was.
Yeah, I did see it, and it was great, wasn't it? You know, so often finals are cautious affairs.
Yeah.
On this one, you could have doubled the score, I think, really, and heartbreaking for Southampton, especially because it's my mum's team, and it brought all those memories back because we're all old enough to remember '76. You know, McCalliog to Stokes, who's onside.
Yeah.
But I think then, on that day, United probably had most of the chances, and Sunderland and Southampton ended up winning.
Yeah.
So,
I must say, the Southampton fans that we met were terrific. They were very much having a great day out, and were not expecting to win, and actually came a lot closer to winning it than I think any of them thought would happen.
Indeed.
Yeah, I suppose a cruel journey back to the South Coast, though, because they'd come so close, hadn't they? Come so close and deserved, well, at least deserved extra time, if not the full thing over the 90 minutes.
I totally agree with you. I mean, that goal that was ruled out early on could have dramatically changed the outcome of the game.
Absolutely, could have done. Now, we were talking about the Oscars there a moment ago, Tim. Is there some kind of Argentinian football connection this year?
Well, I think there's probably two Argentine football connections, and the first one is the absolute chaos. It was almost as if the spirit of Argentine football had descended on the Oscars ceremony because we still don't have a president of the Argentine Football Association because the elections that they had towards the end of last year, with 75 people eligible to vote, ended up at 38 each. Do the maths.
Right.
So, but specifically, Viggo Mortensen, he was the actor who's was up for an Oscar, didn't win one yesterday, but he grew up. Part of his childhood was spent in Buenos Aires, and he is a fanatical supporter of San Lorenzo. So every time, which is a Buenos Aires club, every time you saw a close-up of Viggo Mortensen during the Oscar ceremony, he was waving a little kind of red and blue striped design there. That was San Lorenzo. That was San Lorenzo's club shield. He didn't win the Oscar. Whether this is an omen for the Copa Libertadores, which is about to kick off with San Lorenzo included, I don't know. But Argentine football certainly alive and present at the Oscars ceremony.
Indeed. Now, what did you think about the Leicester-Liverpool game, Tim, in the sense that I've been saying since Ranieri was sacked that it was the crisis management decision that Leicester owners had to make because they had to change direction or they're going to get relegated. Now, the Leicester team against Liverpool were very impressive. Jamie Vardy looked like he did last season. And so I say my point is vindicated that Ranieri had lost the ability to motivate a squad of players who were Premier League winners, whereas last season he'd been motivating a group of players who were potential relegation candidates.
Well, you know, it's always one thing getting up there and another thing staying up there,
exactly.
Isn't it? That's and to be honest, I'm surprised that anyone's surprised that Leicester are struggling this season. You know, to me, they're still ahead of the curve because they're only a 1-0 win away from being in the last 8 of the Champions League.
Yeah.
If your theory is correct, then I know you come from the blue half of Liverpool, but I suspect that you've had a little word there with Jurgen Klopp. Because Klopp didn't half help the Leicester cause.
He did
by selecting Lucas at centre back against Jamie Vardy.
Yeah,
you know, I put on Twitter at half time if this was a boxing match between Vardy and Lucas, the referee would have stopped it already.
You're right.
Couldn't understand that decision at all. Absolutely baffling. And 2 of the 3 goals came from that route. And Vardy just danced a little dance over Lucas all night long. Had Liverpool had a quicker back 4 there, and maybe it would have been a little bit more difficult. So I thought Liverpool played right into Leicester's hands there, and I just couldn't understand the team selection at all.
No, I mean, a lot of people are wondering about many things to do with Jurgen Klopp at the moment as well, because, I mean, some people are saying, well, he hasn't really got the money and the ability to bring in the kind of players that Liverpool need, having to rely on this Moneyball system of just bringing in, you know, relatively cheap players and hoping they'd get better. So, I mean, it's hard to judge whether we're being unfair on him at this point.
Yeah, but surely he could have done better than that. I know he's got 1 or 2 centre-backs injured at the moment, but surely, because so often when Vardy plays against slow defences, that brings the best of him because, you know, he's quick and aggressive, and he was so much quicker than Lucas, and he was doing him physically as well.
Yeah.
So he just had complete domination there. So I can't believe that Liverpool don't have something better than that better for that task in that game.
Well, they've got he's a midfielder, basically, Lucas, playing at centre-half. I just don't understand that sort of, you think about other great midfielders or good midfielders, why would you suddenly stick him in the back four?
Well, especially against such a quick counter-attacking side.
Exactly,
and that's the way that Leicester won the title last year. So it just seemed that Klopp was playing straight into the hands of Leicester. Now,
if you put that Vardy,
after coaches go, there is a kind of bounce back, but I think it's too early to come to any conclusions about whether they did the right thing by sacking Ranieri. And it was a decision that made me very sad anyway, especially as there are only a 1-0 win away from the last 8 in Europe, and that's an entirely feasible result.
True. Yeah, precisely.
Right.
But if you took that Jamie Vardy goal from last night and put it into a set of the clips of his goals from last year, it wouldn't look out of place, would it?
No, indeed.
That's right.
How badly have people taken this one out on Leicester City? From being the most loved club, and are they now unloved?
Well, I think, as ever, there's been a kind of a sort of, bleeding heart liberal type lefty backlash about, the death of football over the weekend. There were lots of people writing, columns about, football died this week, which is a load of rubbish, basically, because we know football died a long time ago as far as its soul was concerned. So, people... But, you watched the game last night and all of it's forgotten about. Claudio Ranieri's gone. Leicester have won a game. They look like they did last year. So shall we just move on? That's what happens.
That's always the way it is with any kind of scandal in football.
Yeah.
It only lasts as long as the next game.
Exactly.
Everyone moves on.
Exactly. Talking of scandal, what's Maradona been up to?
Well, he's enjoying himself hugely. It's carnival at the moment. Obviously the one that everyone knows is the one in Rio, which is just huge this year. It's massive. But there are carnivals all over South America, including one in Corrientes in the northeast of Argentina. And Maradona was there dancing with a stunningly beautiful woman. And what better way to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Maradona playing his first game for Argentina. So, it's, for all the pleasure that he gave so many people in the first half of his life, I'm glad that, despite all the problems that he's had and whatever you might think of him, I'm glad that he's still enjoying himself in the second half of his life, watching his daughters grow up and dancing with beautiful women at carnival time.
Well, that's great. What's this referee scandal, please, Tim? The most bizarre excuse that apparently we've ever heard for a referee mistake.
Big game last week in Brazil. It's the biggest derby in the city of São Paulo. Corinthians against Palmeiras. Right. Celebrating 100 years of rivalry, so it's a big, big derby.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, and the referee made an absolute howler. He just sent off the wrong play. It was a foul committed. Really? I think he followed the ball, perhaps, and when he brought his head back to the players around the incident, he just chose the wrong player, brought out a yellow card, which was the second yellow card for the player who he was wrongly awarding the yellow card to. So he wrongly sent off a player for Corinthians. A disastrous decision. Thankfully, it didn't have any impact on the game because Corinthians, the team who lost this player, won 1-0. But after the game, this could be a career-ending decision. It's such a high-profile occasion and such a bad decision. So the referees' union, their spokesman came out and said, but you have to remember, the referee, he travelled to the game on the underground.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff. Well, Tim, listen, have a great week. Enjoy the Carnival, and thank you very much indeed. Tim Vickery there reporting in for us from Brazil. Lots more to come on the show, including, of course, Postman Pork, a little bit of heroes and villains, and we'll be finding out exactly what went wrong over at the Oscars in Hollywood. This is TalkSport. This is Talk Sport. If you haven't joined us until now, I can tell you that Porky managed to battle his way into the office despite having yet another incident with his tyres on the Mercedes. Fortunately, not at high speed, so he seems to be okay. Daniel says this, has Porky considered it could be Vinnie Jones or a Millwall fan leaving a trail of nails from the underground car park?
Well, I'll tell you what, you have to consider those sort of things. I've been so unlucky.
You certainly have. James says this, you're giving Mercedes a bad name, Porky. You're a bad, erratic driver. Get a Nissan Micra.
No, that's not true at all. In fact, you know who the worst driver is in this studio?
Who?
It's you.
How do you say that?
Because there's a new survey out, which I have access to, which says that Jag drivers are the worst.
No, that's rubbish.
Jaguar drivers are Britain's worst. 86% admit speeding. You speed.
I don't speed. I've not had a speeding ticket since I think the last speeding ticket I had, in fact, was not even this century.
Exactly. Mine is
I don't think it was this century.
Mine is over 10 years ago as well.
Yeah.
86% admit
speeding. 17 years ago to the last century.
You've not had one in the last 17 years?
No, I don't believe so, no. I had one when my kids were very young, still living in Wiltshire. So, I mean, we're talking about back at around about 2000 or 99.
Yes.
And I was driving up from Wiltshire to London with them in the car.
Yeah.
And I was coming into Hungerford, funnily enough, on the A4.
Yeah.
And as you come into Hungerford on the A4, it's a 60-mile-an-hour downhill road.
So a sneaky cop hiding behind a tree.
Yeah, there was a sneaky cop hiding behind a tree,
Yeah.
which technically is actually, they're supposed to tell you there's a mobile thing.
That's right.
And I was slowing down,
Yes.
but they did me for something like doing 45 in a 40 as I was coming in.
Pathetic.
And because I was working with you at the time,
Yes.
I would have had to go to Reading to dispute it. I just paid it.
Well,
that was a long time ago.
I went on a speed awareness course.
Yeah, I remember you told us about that with the Welshman.
Yeah, that's right. Waste of time. The guy was a complete idiot, the man who was holding the course, because he didn't seem to understand that because I had a very superior car to most other people in the room, that the speeding rules shouldn't really apply to me. But anyway, so it says Jaguar drives are Britain's worst. 86% admit speeding. OK, we'll exonerate you from that one. 71% regularly fail to indicate, and half jump red lights. Now, you have been jumping red lights lately, haven't you?
I tell you what, I haven't jumped red lights, but there is a light, which is not far from here.
That's what I mean.
On my route back home to Sussex on a Friday morning, early hours of Friday morning.
Yes.
Which doesn't change.
Yes.
And I've been caught by it twice now. You pull up to it, and it's across the Borough High Road.
So it's a temporary light?
No, it's a proper traffic light.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I drove down it on Sunday and went the same way because it helps you get around Elephant Castle. And it was fine. And it changed to green and I went and all that. But the two times I've tried to do it at 4 a.m, you sit at the light and it doesn't change from red to green. I've done it twice now where I've waited about 6 or 7 minutes and just thought, well, I'm just going to go here.
I had a light situation like that in Stockbroker Belt, right, quite close to home. But the last junction before sort of reaching my exclusive sort of pad,
Yes.
And what happened was you could see, it was a crossroads, and you could see the other light go from green to... Does it go to amber then?
No, it goes back to red.
Right, green to red.
Yeah.
And then you're waiting...
It goes red to amber.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And then amber to red and amber to
then
green.
you're waiting for your light to change.
Yeah.
And like 15 seconds go by, then 20 seconds. And then the light for the other direction goes back to amber and green again. And you're thinking, hang on, that's not right.
Yeah.
And anyway, what happened...
What do you mean amber and green? It shouldn't go amber and green. It should go red and amber.
Yeah.
Right, it should go red first of all.
Yeah.
Then it goes red and amber.
Yeah.
And then it goes green.
Yeah, OK.
The red and amber go off.
Yeah, well, that's all happened anyway. So,
no, but I'm slightly worried about your order of events here.
Don't even worry about it, because what happens is there's a lorry parked behind me, right? Because there's a lot of lorries drive overnight in this country, quite rightly and sensibly, because the roads are empty. And you see, Waitrose and Morrison's trucks and all that. Anyway, this guy behind me gets out of his cab, comes up to me, and he's like Eastern European. And he says, "Oh, you got to move." And I said, "I can't move." I said, "Red light." "The light is broken. I come this way every night. The light is broken. I cannot drive around you. So you must move."
Well, if the light's broken, why does he go that way every night?
Well, but I don't think there's any other alternative route, to be honest, for a lorry his size. You see what I mean? I don't think you go around a back road or anything like that. And I said, "But that's breaking the law." He said, "I don't care. You must move your car right now." And anyway, in the end, he was right. The light was broken.
Yeah.
But what worries me is... that there are definite cameras on this junction's light. You can see them, a little box attached to the top of the light.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go through some legal process now because I'm going to get done for going through a red light.
Yes.
And then
surely you'll be able to, if the time and the date are set, which they should be, you'll be able to say, well, at that time, you'll be able to work out that actually it wasn't changing.
Yeah, but you've got to prove all that. You see what I mean? You've got to really be able to prove
Well, they're the ones with the cameras.
Yeah, the ones with the cameras. Anyway, it goes on to say 92% of people driving Skodas use mobiles at the wheel. How do they know that?
That's ridiculous. Well, I mean, to be honest, when I saw this story, because somebody tweeted it out earlier on today, it actually turns out that Jaguar drivers are not the worst drivers, as they reveal in a second or third paragraph. Yeah. It's actually BMW drivers.
BMW drivers top the shame list, it says.
Yeah, there you go.
Because Beamer motorists remain worse for hurling litter out of their cars. Well, they should be arrested for that. And hogging middle lanes and are the second biggest speeders, OK?
Yes. Yeah, because one of the things it says about Jaguar drivers is they don't indicate. I mean, I see a lot of people out there that don't indicate. But that's one of the things that I do studiously and religiously.
Yeah, I do as well.
Because I believe in indicating at all times. One of the things I hate is when you're sitting on a roundabout and you see a car coming around the roundabout and with no indicator on at all. And so you don't know whether they're going to go left in front of you or whether they're going to carry on.
That's right.
I must admit, I nearly had a little bump the other day when I was picking up one of my kids from school.
Right.
Because it's absolute carnage, as you know.
Yes.
Driving in a very, very small area where there's hardly any parking spots.
That's
and
right.
People are not really looking around them.
That's right.
And I was sitting there waiting to pull out into the main road, and the guy was coming from my right.
Yes.
With his indicator on, as if he was going to turn into the road I was in.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I quickly looked to the left to see if it was all right to go. And I had started moving.
Yes.
And suddenly just checked back to the right.
Yeah.
Still with his indicator on. He went straight on. So if I'd pulled out, he would have hit me.
Right. Okay.
And he had his indicator on, said he was going left.
Idiot.
I know.
I think you were distracted probably because you probably had read that report that the school gates are a really good place to sort of associate with, young...
Yeah, that's why I had children.
Young mothers, you know what I mean,
yeah.
who often find that their domestic nightmare is only alleviated when they're at the school gate meeting other people, if you see what I mean.
Well, I have to say,
you know what I mean?
Yes, you would, if you thought that I was that sort of person, you might think that would indeed be a hunting ground for me, but that's not the sort of person I am. And in many ways, actually, now perhaps it wouldn't be as effective as it would have been the first time around, because my youngest son, when he was going to school for the first time, primary school.
Yes.
The first time I went to pick him up, some of his friends said, "Is that your granddad?"
Oh, really?
Well, yeah. Well, because I'm a bit older than most fathers, you see.
Yeah, of course you are, because you failed marriage the first time, so you tried it again.
Well, no, it's not a question of failing marriage and trying it again. It's a question of having younger children and older children.
No,
right?
That's right. That's right. You completely smashed
that so happens to be the
smashed
situation.
your family up the first time round, so you thought, I better do this again and make amends. That's what you did.
Now, listen, I've been quite nice to you after your ridiculous lateness. You know, you carry on like that.
Well, I'm in a state of shock.
Slap you around again.
I see you've put out this
state of shock.
I see you've put out the picture of me arriving at TalkSport House.
Yeah, you look a bit dishevelled.
Well, of course I was dishevelled. I'd had a very traumatic experience. Listen, I'll tell you what I wanted to talk to you about. What do you think about this scandal of the wasted milk?
What scandal of the wasted milk?
We waste 100 million pints of milk a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, because what happens is...
it goes off?
No, the people who put the dates on it don't put the right dates on.
What do you mean?
Households will be encouraged to use the smell test to judge whether milk is still drinkable in future.
The smell test?
Yeah, under plans to scrap the use-by date on containers. The proposals could say...
Well, surely you do that anyway, don't you?
Well, most people...
I mean, if I buy milk, right, and it sits in the fridge for longer than it says use by, I don't throw it out. I continue to use it until it goes off.
Well, where you can tell with... It says here, look, the proposals could save more than 100 million pints of milk a year that are wasted because consumers automatically throw away the milk after the date on the cartons and bottles has passed by.
Well, that's completely stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
Why? I mean, do you throw milk out if it's gone past its sell-by date?
You know the moment I throw milk out?
When?
When I pour my milk into my boiling, bubbling cup of tea, because I always fill the cup up whilst the kettle is still bubbling.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
That's quite dangerous because sometimes the water can shoot out at a great speed.
No. I know what I'm doing.
Do you use tea bags or do you loose leaf tea?
Tea bags, you see. Okay. So then the tea bag floats, okay?
Yeah.
It sucks out the goodness from the
tea bag. Do you use pyramid tea bags or not?
No, I use the round ones.
Round ones, okay.
Yorkshire tea.
You don't have to give the name away.
You know what I mean?
See the time, by the way.
Anyway, so then I remove the tea bag with my grabber.
You've got a grabber?
Yeah, I've got my tea bag grabber because I squeeze out all the last drops
of course
the goodness.
You've got a grabber.
Right, and then...
How gauche.
And then when you apply the milk...
Yeah.
Should the milk then start to...
Curdle?
Well, no, just little bits.
Well, that's curdled.
Well, no. Curdled means you can see immediately. But the minute the milk...
you can see immediately the little white bits.
Yeah, that's right. The minute the milk turns to little white bits, that's it. That cup of tea goes down the old dishwasher.
And how often does that happen?
Not the dishwasher, sorry, the waste disposal.
How often does that happen?
Could happen, once a week.
How much milk a week do you buy?
2 or 3 pints.
2 or 3 pints? What else do you use it for?
To make Angel Delight, which I love.
Do you use milk to make that?
Yeah, I do,
I thought you used, what do you call it, water?
No, I use milk. And
I don't think you're doing it right, then.
I am doing it right. It's great.
How much Angel Delight do you make?
A whole packet.
Yeah, well, how often?
Twice a week.
Twice a week?
Yeah.
So you're using up 3 pints of milk?
Yeah.
About 1.5 pints on the Angel Delight.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's about right. The rest on tea and coffee.
Incredible.
But it says here,
RAP. The time, by the way.
It says RAP, who are the waste reduction charity. So I'm a big supporter of them because there's far too much rapping on the stuff.
I don't see much reduction in your waste.
Found that the dates were increasingly being used on products that might not need them, such as milk and yogurts and cheese and non-bread.
Do you know, I once had a yoghurt that went all mouldy, right? But only on one side. So I ate the rest of it. What do you think of that?
Don't even tell me that. I can't even bear that.
It's bacteria anyway.
Oh, no, thank you.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Here in my car, I feel safest of all. I can lock on my doors. It's the only way to live in cars. Here in my car, I can only receive. I can listen to you. It keeps me stable for days in cars.
Andy says this at the Two Mics. That sounded very UKIP. Quotes, I've never eaten a kebab. I'm not sure why that's particularly UKIP.
Why is that UKIP?
Perhaps it means that you don't like foreign food, which is not the case.
No.
Kai says this, Porky's never eaten a kebab. Man of the people.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, I've never eaten a kebab. Kebabs in the old days, right, when I was like, used to follow Everton around with my mates from Chester. And we used to go to like greasy, sort of...
burger vans, right?
No,
presumably.
no. Sometimes if we got into a town early, we go to a Greek restaurant.
Really?
And you had a kebab on a stick. Does that make sense?
Yeah, shish kebab.
Shish kebab is that? Yeah, and it was the meat was always awful.
Really?
It was very low quality and all that kind of stuff. And
I'm a big fan of kebabs actually in many different forms.
But now, as I understand it, kebabs are served in the same sort of styrofoam container as a hamburger, aren't they?
Generally speaking.
And so it's not on a stick or anything. It's
it can be. It
just
depends.
Slices of meat, isn't it?
Well, no, it depends on what you get. I mean, for example, if you go to that kebab shop down the road, in the Cut, which is frequented by many armed police officers, as we've said before, they sometimes turn up in a van with about 8 of them.
They do.
You could get a shish kebab, which is on a skewer.
Yep.
You could get a chicken kebab, which tends to be on one of those rotating things. Right? You can get a doner kebab, which is also on one of those rotating things, which is...
Yeah, but that's all pressed meat.
It's
processed,
that's all rubbish processed meat. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the shish kebabs are very good.
What's a shish kebab?
A shish kebab is what I've just told you. It's on a skewer.
On a skewer? Where's the meat come from, though?
It tends to be pieces of lamb, but it's cubed lamb.
Yeah, okay. But is it...
It's not the same as the doner kebab meat.
No, but is the cubed lamb lean lamb, or does it have fat in it?
Well, generally speaking, it's pretty lean. And so they cook it on a grill.
Right.
So if there is any fat on it, it would tend to burn off.
What's the one that you get inside a piece of pita bread?
Well, normally they serve both kinds inside of pita bread.
Right.
So you put a bit of pita bread there, you get...
Well, do you have to ask for the pita bread, or do you say, I want mine in a styrofoam container?
Well, you get it inside a pita bread, generally speaking, unless you ask not to have it in that, right?
Well, why do I see people, like in Coronation Street, they've got a kebab shop, and the people walk out there with a styrofoam container. So is that typical of... What's your problem?
I can't believe you don't know what kebab is. I mean, for heaven's sake, you've been on the earth.
No,
for
seriously, I've never had one.
How can you never have had a kebab?
I've told you where I've had a kebab. I had one when I was about 19, following Everton around in a Greek restaurant in somewhere like blinking Nottingham or somewhere like that.
All right, I've seen people in kebab shops sometimes just asking for kebab meat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't have it in any pita bread.
Right.
Which is wrongly pronounced. It's pita bread, right?
Yes.
And sometimes they'll have it with chips.
Mm-hmm.
But the general sort of accepted way to have it is inside pita bread with a bit of salad and maybe some hot sauce or some garlic sauce.
Right.
And then it's put in a styrofoam container in order to be taken away.
That's what I mean.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you can equally have it in a restaurant without the styrofoam containers, should you so wish.
Oh, right, okay.
And have it put on a plate for you.
It sounds like a very...
I'm going to have to take you for a kebab.
Complicated
I'm going to have to take you for a kebab. Because they're great. I mean, there are some kebabs.
I don't understand shops. That. I mean, you, on one hand, you're always, extolling the virtues of quality food.
Yes.
And on the other hand, I mean, let's face it, without being rude to the kebab industry, it's the very cheapest form of meat you can put in your mouth, isn't it?
Incorrect. Well, I don't know
about that.
If it's
pressed meat, then it's not real meat anyway.
When you say pressed, what do you mean?
Well, I mean that when you see
it's processed meat is what it is.
When you see that huge sort of...
elephant's trunk, as they call it.
That's right. Circling around and grease falling off it, that is not a pure piece of meat.
It's processed meat.
A lamb or a cow or whatever.
Albatross.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's put together, isn't it?
Yes, it's processed.
Yeah, well,
that's what processed means. But you don't have to eat that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can equally have a shish kebab, which is, in fact, generally speaking, from actual lamb, which is not processed.
That's more expensive, I suppose.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But very good. And, I mean, there are some dodgy kebab houses that I wouldn't go to, but the good ones are very good.
Right.
And, again, you don't eat one every night, or else you'd become the size of, Tubby Isaacs.
Okay.
But
we might try that one time. Now, listen, I said that these cameras are on top of the traffic lights.
That's right.
Thank you to MJP, who said, actually, Porky, they're not cameras. It's a radar which times the lights to change as cars approach. Now, that makes sense to me if it's the early hours of the morning, because why should lights just do it in order if there's no traffic on the roads? They should change for the cars that are coming.
That does make sense, but there are also those who believe, and certainly I believe this to be true, that some of them operate against the traffic in the sense that when they see a car coming, they don't turn green, they actually turn red.
Yeah.
Because this is all part of the conspiracy against motorists in the City of London. There's no doubt about that. Well, do you remember we've talked before about in New York, if you're driving up, say, 3rd Avenue.
Yes.
Right, and if you're driving at around about 30 miles an hour, which is the speed limit, and the lights are red, and there's no traffic on the roads early morning when I used to go and play golf.
That's right.
If you drive a pretty steady 30 miles an hour, the lights will go green almost every block that you hit,
in sequence, that's right, yeah.
They're in sequence, right?
Yeah.
But in London, if you're in a situation where there's loads of lines of traffic lights, they will turn red as you get closer to them.
That's right, yeah.
In order to stop you from actually going anywhere.
Well, the other thing is, of course, and I noticed this tonight when I've eventually got a cab to get me here.
Yes.
3 times on that journey from Victoria Station to here, the cab driver stopped because he was stopped by a red light which was designed for cyclists to cross in front of him from the supercycle highway.
Yes.
Except that on every occasion of the 3, there were no cyclists.
Right.
So why don't they have radar sensors to make sure that the cycle lanes are not changing red all the time to stop you proceeding when there are no cyclists around?
Maybe it's more difficult.
Drives me mad, you know.
Yeah, I know. Maybe it's more difficult to judge whether there are cyclists or not. Maybe they need a special radar for that. Here's one from World Traveller. Porky turns his nose up at a kebab, but twice a week he stuffs his gob with Angel Delight.
Yeah.
An oxymoron. But I hope he uses his bib.
No, I'm not turning my nose up at a kebab. I'm just questioning what they're all about and the fact that I've never had
I think the best thing is I should take you for a kebab. Why don't we just go and have a kebab one night?
Maybe we will.
We should do that. We can film it, put it on the new website.
That's right.
2mics.co.uk.
That's right.
And see how it all goes.
Now then, have you had your car washed lately at a hand car wash?
I have, but not... I was going to do it this weekend, actually, but I didn't really have time in the end. But the last time I had it washed was at one of those places, yes.
OK, do you agree that mostly they are staffed by people who've come to this country to better themselves, like
well, I couldn't possibly
East
say,
Europeans?
because I've only been to about 1 or 2 of them.
Well,
but certainly the 1 or 2 that I've been to would appear to be staffed by people from
Eastern
European countries.
I've been to 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And apparently it is now... I mean, when was the last time you saw a car wash in operation, which is a drive-through one that we used to use?
Well, do you know, I used to go to one in Camden when I lived in North London, which was exactly that.
Yeah.
And the reason I tell you I remember it is because it was when my daughter was quite young. I was still married, so she was only about 3.
Yes.
And she was sitting in the back in one of those kids' car seats, you know, and I'm driving through. And she was making more noise than normal, but she was right behind me, so I couldn't really see, without turning around. And I was like, "What's the matter with you?" And I'd left the window slightly open.
That happened to me.
And she was getting completely soaked with all the water that was coming in.
Funny enough, that happened to me last time.
And she was completely covered in like soapy water.
I know.
And I had no idea.
I know, it can happen. But I tell you what, there's one near me down towards the M25, which was a drive-through, and they've just taken the brushes out and they've simply handed it over to a group of guys who now do it by hand.
Right.
Because I don't think there are any left.
I think some garages still have them, but this was actually a genuine... This was a genuine place where you had guys and a drive-through, so it was both.
Yeah, I see. But you know why they took those brushes out? Because cars became more and more sophisticated.
Yeah.
The brushes are made of nylon, and they scratch your paintwork.
Yes, that's true.
And
also with the way some cars have now got... I mean, mine's got that thing on the top,
That's right,
I don't know what it is, but it's
like a radio beam type thing.
It's some kind of scientific thing that controls the computer anyway. And it's got the aerials in there and all that. And like when I had the Land Rover, it was too big for some of them as well.
That's right.
You can't get in them.
No, that's right. Now, the reason I ask this is because...
why are you asking?
It says here, roadside car washes have become popular with Eastern European migrants because they provide quick cash-in-hand work, says an inquiry. Dawn Fraser of the Car Wash Advisory Service said that only 1,000 of the country's 20,000 hand car washes are thought to adhere to UK business laws.
Do you mean when you say the Car Wash Advisory Service?
Yeah.
Another one of these quangos?
Yeah, well, no, it's not.
What is that?
It's a self-appointed body, obviously.
Why do they need that?
I don't know. Dawn Fraser of the
hello.
Car Wash Advisory Service.
Hello, is this the Car Wash Advisory Service?
That's
Yes.
right, yeah.
Can you please tell me where the nearest car wash is?
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah. How? What sort of materials do you need to wash your car? You know, if it's the advisory service, and do you use water?
Is it like the pregnancy advisory service?
That's right. Yeah. But she says it's a bit of a scandal. She says these people are paid below the minimum wage and they're paid cash in hand. Most of them are entitled to work here, but when they actually get it, because their language skills are poor, they end up working somewhere where nobody cares what their language skills are.
Well, I'll tell you,
like.
one of the stories I was told, and it was only about this one particular car wash, was that the guy that owns it is in fact Eastern European.
Yes.
And he puts all of the people who work in this place in the same dwelling.
Yes, that's right.
And they basically work sort of, around the clock.
Yeah.
I think they stop at, say, 6 o'clock at night.
Well, this is what they're
saying. But they all sleep in the same house.
Yeah.
They all earn the same money. They
are saying it's becoming like an organised business, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for organised, you're sort of talking about like collectively organised.
Are you suggesting there's some kind of criminal?
No, I'm not suggesting that at all. But I'm saying that people who are desperate.
I think it's a very good service.
I think it's very good. The one I got is near Fareham. The one where I left the window open is near Fareham.
Oh yeah.
Which is down on the coast, right?
That's down sort of Winchester way, isn't it?
No, Fareham is just before I get to Gosport.
Oh, that's right.
Going to Gosport, and I mistakenly left the back window an inch open, and the guy, even though it was hand and all that, just sprayed it, and it all came into the seat on the back. But I tell you what, it was brilliant, because that's the only one I've been to where you don't have to get out of the car if you only want the outside done.
Okay.
They literally do it as you're moving through it 2 or 3 miles an hour.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And they,
why don't you want the inside done?
Because I believe that the rags they use are filthy because they do so many inside of cars. So I always let them do the outside. I don't mind if they use filthy rags on the outside.
Yeah.
But then when I get home, I get my own kit out of the boot.
Have you got a car hoover?
No, I don't need one.
What do you mean?
I've got a special little car sweeper.
A sweeper?
Yeah, it's a dustpan and brush. To do the inside of the car.
No, your car must be filthy on the inside.
No, it's not. It's
disgusting.
You don't use using a Hoover doesn't do anything for you.
It's useless on the outside as it is on the inside.
No, it's not. No.
Coming up next, we're going to go to Hollywood and find out what on earth is going on. This is Talk Sport.
Firing up the G-Funk, sipping on juice and gin. Just me and a friend, feeling kind of groovy, working on a movie. Yeah, right.
But we did nothing, absolutely but kids that day. And I'll say, what the hell am I doing drinking in LA at 26?
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Don't forget it's Postman Pork coming up in the next hour or so keep listening for that. And Heroes and Villains is going to be run out as well. Let's talk now to Sandro Benetti, though, who's our favourite Hollywood correspondent. You'd think there was a lot of drinking going on in LA, judging by the way the Oscar nominations and the ceremony went. But let's find out whether anybody's actually getting the blame. Sandro, very good morning to you. Welcome.
Well, what a shambles the Oscars was, and I can now name the guilty party who mixed up the envelope.
Can you? Excellent. Let's have it. Who is it?
His name is Brian Cullinan.
Yeah.
He works for PricewaterhouseCoopers, the accountants who are responsible for tabulating the votes and handing out the envelopes, and he got completely mixed up and handed the wrong card, a duplicate of the Best Actress card, to Warren Beatty when he went out on stage with Faye Dunaway to present Best Film, and we all know the fiasco that happened next.
But you see, Sandra, what I don't understand is he's on one side of the stage and there's a woman on the other side from PricewaterhouseCoopers as well with a replica case with replica cards in it. How did one get swapped from one side of the stage to the other?
They have copies on each side of the stage because, as you know, at these award shows, actors are supposed to walk in from stage left or stage right. Sometimes they get mixed up. If they come in from the wrong side, at least they have a card for them.
Yeah, I see.
And so that's how it was. And he picked from the wrong pile. There's the used pile and there's the new pile.
And is this a guy that's been
human error?
Is this a guy? Yeah, human error. Doesn't that drive you mad?
Hang on,
is this a guy who's been doing it for a long time, or was he a new hand at it?
But if the used pile, Sandro, sorry, you've got to get this straight. If it was the used pile, Was the card put back in the envelope and the envelope sealed again then?
Well, this no, it was a there's so many piles as it turns out.
Right.
They've basically they've got a new system for next year. They're going to have a shredder.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
The card is handed over straight in the shredder.
Right.
Only one copy of each.
I see.
But to answer the other question there, it was his 4th year in the job. And we're not talking some kid who's just new to the Oscars. This is a guy who's a partner in PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the biggest accounting firms in the world.
Yes. He was a partner. I mean, presumably there'll be some kind of sanction taken out against him because it's also made
a lot of partners,
it's made PricewaterhouseCoopers look completely inept. And you know, these are the people. I mean, if I was in charge of the Oscars, I'd be like, "Sorry, guys, you're out. We're going to bring in somebody else to do it next year."
They've had this job, you know, for 83 years, and
time to be retired.
Agree. Yeah, time they retired. No 84th, and I tell you, it also didn't reflect well on Warren Beatty because
he was terrible.
He had the card. Yeah, he was terrible. I mean, he just looked completely out of it. I mean, the card in his hand said Best Actress on it. Why can't you just be honest and say, I think there's a mistake?
Well, that's what he should have done. But I was saying to Mike earlier that from looking at it, and I've seen both an edited and an unedited version, because funnily enough, the unedited version, it looks as though he is actually trying to stall for time. But it's been a lot of the news reports are editing it down, so it looks as though he kind of looks very puzzled, hands the envelope over to Faye. She then kind of just reads it out. Whereas, as you say, if he had said, I'm not quite sure if this is right, that would have solved an awful lot of problems. But he did look like a guy who kind of was slightly out of it, if you don't mind me saying so.
Yeah, I mean, he, the words that was used in the Oscar parties afterwards, people were saying he looked senile.
Yeah.
That's basically, I'm reporting what was said there.
Right.
Now, at least he did try and make an excuse and explain what happened. Faye Dunaway, she was doing a Bonnie and Clyde style quick getaway.
Yeah.
She rushed off the stage. She was no comment at the after party, not been heard of since. And it's a shame because for all those two have achieved in their acting careers, this is all they'll ever be remembered for, the duo who falls up the Oscars.
Exactly. Yeah. And I would have been very upset as well at the way that it was announced rather glibly by somebody. Once Moonlight was clearly the winner, somebody said into a microphone, "Oh yeah, they read out the wrong line," which made it sound as though they'd done something wrong, when in fact they hadn't really.
No, there's lots of finger pointing and blame, but the fact is the whole thing is a dog's breakfast. It embarrassed the Oscars. It overshadowed anyone who won and lost. No one's talking about the fashions, the winners or the losers.
Yeah.
They're just talking about the disaster. And, this isn't a school fete. This is the biggest event in show business. It's so meticulously rehearsed, and heads should roll. The producers should go. Just everyone associated with it should just walk the plank for this one.
But also, Sandro, I think that Jordan Horowitz has got questions to answer. He snatched the card out of Warren Beatty's hand and said, "You've got the wrong winner," and then was very rude to Warren Beatty, who is a Hollywood legend, isn't it? I mean, this is a man who, had his pick of every starlet in the world for about 50 years and is suddenly belittled and made to look like an idiot.
Well, you have to remember that Jordan Horowitz is a movie producer, and producers are used to giving the orders, even to actors. Yeah. And so at least he seemed to be the only one who knew what was going on.
He did.
He actually announced it rather than the Oscar host. I'd say make Jordan Horowitz produce the Oscars next year. At least it'll be a fair show.
Yes, and I mean, to a lesser extent, I suppose, that's not where it ends, is it? Because the In Memoriam segment also featured the picture of the wrong woman. Instead of Janet Patterson, they had a picture of Jan Chapman, who apparently is alive and well and says, "I'm an active producer," but they killed her off.
Yeah, I mean, you knew you were in for a bad night when that happened. I mean, again, it's bad producing. These things, you'd surely think they would check.
Yeah.
I mean, how distressing for her family to be watching and thinking, "Oh my God, I didn't know she died."
Yeah, right.
And of course she hadn't. And the Academy going into this, they were hugely embarrassed by the pathetic lack of diversity in the Academy. The numbers, by the way, are the Academy is still 93% white, 67% male, and the average age of voters is 63. So, I mean, they were clearly looking at black films differently. They were actually giving them the consideration they deserved, whereas in the past they might have dismissed titles like Straight Outta Compton and Creed from last year, and they gave the award eventually to Moonlight. But the Academy is just in a complete mess. And if you can't get the winners right, the in memoriam segment, this is the biggest show in show business.
This guy
Everyone's got egg on their faces.
The guy made the mistake, by the way. Not only was he a senior partner of PwC, he is the US board chairman. This guy Brian Cullinan, he actually runs PwC in America. So is he going to sack himself or something? The other issue, by the way, Sandro, is that I've read just a few hours ago that the viewing figures were 4% down on last year, which in turn were 4% down on the year before. I mean, is it now becoming a washed up and rather, outdated and forlorn ceremony?
Yes, it's been overtaken by other awards shows. The Emmys, which rewards television, has been going the other way. Ratings up and up and up. And that's because, I would argue, television is now better than movies. That's where most of the money is. That's where most of the talent is. Yeah. And the TV shows nominated for Best Drama were all better than the films nominated for Best Movie, and the audience is the judge. And, they're loving television. They're not liking what they're seeing from movies. Yep. And none of the 9 films nominated for Best Picture had been huge hits. And if the films don't connect with the public, how is the award show supposed to do it? So the Oscars has got real problems. I suggest everyone resigns and puts me in charge.
Yes, very good idea. But aren't you going to be busy as the next Doctor Who? But we've mentioned that one already. But the problem as well,
I'm a Time Lord. I can travel back in time and fix the Oscars as well.
Absolutely right. The other problem I think they've got is that most people, even those who would not necessarily be Trump supporters or Trump sympathisers, are a little bit fed up with all of the kind of, we are outraged on everybody's behalf brigade. Jodie Foster was at it the other day. I mean, luckily it wasn't too much of it at the Oscars, but of course Jimmy Kimmel had to say something at the start, otherwise he probably would have been shot by someone. But the idea that these guys are now just absolutely obsessed with trying to bring down Trump from their massive mansions in Beverly Hills, I think is getting a bit boring for a lot of people.
It's getting boring for a lot of people. It's also reducing their fan base as well, because if you make a political statement, 50% of the country at least is going to disagree with you. And it's just become tiresome. I mean, this was the last event in awards season, and every single speaker who was getting up, in the ceremonies leading up to this, seemed to be, instead of thanking their agent, bashing Donald Trump. Now, yes, the celebrities do have a platform and want to use it for political views, but I always think that actions speak louder than words. And the celebrities I really admire when it comes to politics are the ones who actually go out in the trenches, join the protest marches, get their hands dirty. Sean Penn, Shailene Woodley, the likes of them, at least they're sort of proactive and do something rather than just wear a ribbon and make a speech. Yeah. And then there's also the aspect of damaging your career. I mean, my future bride, Taylor Swift, she has never made a political statement in her life, and as a result, she hasn't alienated any of the fan base.
Yeah, sure.
Very smart.
Yeah,
and of course,
absolutely.
She also dated our man from The Night Manager for a while for the purposes we're still not
she
quite
did.
sure about.
She did,
yeah, my love rival.
Exactly
absolutely.
right. Well, listen, Sandra, it's a fantastic story. I'm sure we'll be talking to you about it again, because I don't think this is the end of it. And we'll discover whether somebody's going to drop the axe on this guy who's now currently getting the blame, Brian Cullinan from PricewaterhouseCoopers. Sandra Monetti there reporting into us from Hollywood. Got loads and loads of great tweets as well to read out. You can tweet us at the 2 Mikes, at Mike Parry 8, at IROMG. This is TalkSport.
The 2 Mikes, simulcast across the UK on TalkSport and Talk.
So I'm not giving you a lift home.
Yes, you are.
Why should I?
Why not?
You live miles away from where I live.
So what?
You should
make the sacrifice.
You make your own way home. I'm not driving all the way down to Stockbroker Belt, Surrey and back.
Oh, really?
No, I haven't got time for that.
Well,
I'm a busy day coming up. You make your own way home.
TalkSport management will get me a car.
You sure?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Well, it might not be to your satisfaction.
You what?
You might not be to your satisfaction.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it might not be the a fastback Mercedes.
Excuse me, I'm not having some old.
I'll tell you what, it'd be a Skoda.
I'm not having some old heap of junk.
Go home in a Skoda.
I'm not going home in a Skoda. I don't travel in Skodas.
Why not?
Because they're...
the drivers are always on mobile phones.
No. They had dodgy. They had a dodgy history, but they're not bad now.
Skoda's a great car.
Listen, I want to give you the opportunity to impress our millions of listeners. Okay?
Yes.
Terrible row in the England-Italy game, which took place on Sunday afternoon.
I didn't watch that game because why would you bother, you know?
Well, because it's a major sporting event, and as we're
it's not,
I keep my eye on everything.
As I said on the show on Sunday, live from Wembley, it'll be about as one-sided as the Tottenham-Stoke game.
Now, I want you to explain to me, please, why the game was mired in controversy.
Yeah.
Italy were leading at half-time, by the way, 10-5.
Yeah, how ridiculous is that? I've told you, Eddie Jones has now been poisoned by the Gareth Southgate effect.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure about that. But anyway, I want you to explain to our millions of listeners why...
Why do you want me to explain it?
Italy were taken to task for not engaging in the ruck.
Were you not the rugby correspondent
yes, I was.
For Talk Sport
yes.
During the World Cup in France?
Yes, I was.
In what year was that, 93?
No, 07.
2007?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So, would you like to explain...
Well, you're the rugby correspondent.
Yes, I know all about it, but I want you to explain.
Are you trying to catch me out?
No, I'm not trying to catch you out. I just want to make sure
I would say, for football fans who don't know about the rules of rugby, I would say this is tantamount to perhaps every single defender from the opposing team standing on the halfway line, thereby making sure that anyone from the opposite team who goes into their half of the field is immediately offside. It's a bit like doing that. It's a bit like refusing to tackle someone.
It's a bit like trying to do that, but of course you can always get over that by the moment that the ball is passed is the man offside, and they're not.
I know. Yeah. I know that, but what I'm saying is I'm trying to make an analogy between the two things. I mean, basically, if the opposite team refuses to get involved in a ruck, which is where the ball is kind of being moved around by a group of players, but if they refuse to oppose that group of players and just let them move, then it kind of makes the game null and void, really, doesn't it?
Null and void.
I mean, that's what I would say.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. You see, what happens is you have to get into a ruck when play comes to a halt.
Yeah.
So when a player goes down, he's fouled.
Yeah.
The way you restart play...
Well, he's not fouled. No, when a player goes down to the ground with the ball, right, he is then on the ground with the ball.
That's right.
The ball has effectively stopped moving.
That's
he is
right.
obliged to release the ball and not hold on to it, otherwise a penalty is given to the other side.
That is exactly right. Now what happens is...
A ruck happens when the guy from the same side as the guy who's got the ball piles in on top to try and, sort of stop the team from the other side
getting the ball,
piling in on top of him as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And releasing the ball to their side.
What happens then is that one player from either side, right, has to then stand in close proximity to the group of guys who are rolling around on the floor.
Yeah,
and
hopefully they're not rolling around.
Yeah, well, that's what they usually do.
Yeah.
And that is because to get the ball out of the ruck, right, or the centre of the ruck, or in the ruck, to get it out the ruck, you've got to pass it to somebody.
Well, you've got to place it behind you.
You've got to place it behind you, that's right. Yeah, place it behind you.
Because you'll quite often see penalties being given for the ball not being released quickly enough.
Well, this is the point. Now, the problem is, the reason why you've got to play from either side standing around the ruck, and it doesn't really matter which side of the ruck they stand around,
no, it does, because you then invoke... Because it'd be offside.
No, you then invoke the offside law, right?
If you're on the wrong side of the ball.
And then if you... No.
You're offside if you're on the wrong side of the ball.
You can be on the right side of the ball. That doesn't matter. You don't quite understand the rule. And then...
I don't think you understand the game.
I do. And then what happens is, if you're clever and you sort of sprint a couple of paces backwards and forwards, you can actually gerrymander the situation to get an offside decision. And when you've got an offside decision, you then get a free kick.
There's nothing wrong with doing this, by the way.
You start booting the ball between the posts.
Hang on,
and then you get penalty 3 points, don't you?
You get a penalty well, it's not a penalty if you boot it between the posts.
That's it is.
It doesn't have to be. It could be a drop goal.
A drop. Yeah. But if it's placed on the ground,
in the situation where you get a penalty, yes, you get 3 points.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you see. So there you go. And you only get 2 points when you boot it from a conversion.
I mean, this is one of those rows about rugby, which is kind of nonsensical, because there's nothing illegal about what the Italians did. What they did was they refused to get involved in the ruck.
Yes.
Which means they didn't, join in the rolling around on the ground bit.
Yes.
Which didn't necessarily give them any great advantage.
This, by the way, because I've talked to the experts, my fellow experts, this manoeuvre by the Italians was called the Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Because what it is you take advantage of how the laws define the formation of a ruck without one player from each side competing over the ball, no offside line. Super Rugby's chiefs now made aware of this.
Are you making this up as you go along?
No. And I've got to do something about it because it's a disgrace.
Well, no, it's not a disgrace.
You can't have games treated
I don't agree.
that.
I don't agree.
What?
I mean, you might remember there was a controversy in a World Cup a few years ago.
Yes.
And I think it was during the Graham Henry years at Wales, basically.
Yes.
And the Australians had perfected this way of doing something called crossing.
Crossing.
Which meant that what they would do is the guy with the ball would be running towards the opposing half of the field. Right. Now, he would be running, say, to the left. Okay.
Running to the left, I understand,
so he
yes.
would pass the ball to players who were running behind him on the right.
Right.
Now, at the moment at which he was about to hit the line of defence,
yes,
a guy from his left, from his own team, would run across him,
right,
thereby confusing the people who were trying to tackle him.
Right.
And he would sometimes give that guy the ball, or he would sometimes not give that guy the ball, and technically he was obstructing all the players who were coming the other way.
Yeah, I understand that.
But
it
wasn't. But it wasn't illegal until a ruling was made on it. Right. Mm-hmm. Similarly, this is not illegal.
No, it's not illegal.
And so
not illegal.
I think it's actually rather clever.
Interpretation of the rules.
I think it's rather clever.
It's not bad. It's quite clever.
You just told me a minute ago it had to be outlawed.
Well, I think it now should be outlawed because it brings the game into disrepute.
Rubbish.
I mean, for instance, my old pal Campo.
Your old pal Campo that you couldn't recognise after spending, 4 weeks travelling around France with him?
Well, nobody told me what his name was, so I knew it was Dave. I didn't know it was Campese.
David Campese.
Now, what happened is, during his illustrious playing career, he developed the goose step. Do you remember that?
The goose step?
The goose step.
Well, I do remember the goose step, but not necessarily in the context of rugby.
Yeah. No, what he did was he would run towards the line, and then the defenders would get sort of...
it wasn't called the goose step.
It was called the goose step,
Rubbish.
honestly. And then they would, position like this, crouching down like this, OK? You see how I'm crouching down? And,
I can't tell whether you're crouching down. You're the same height as you are when you stand up.
Can you just take this seriously for a minute,
Sorry.
please? And then, old Campo, what he'd do is he'd then straighten his legs and he would goose step.
Well, he wasn't goose stepping.
No, he would like this. I'm banging the floor because I'm goose stepping.
Yeah, well, don't
right?
bang the floor because you'll damage the equipment.
And he would goose step the last few paces and it would so bamboozle the defenders... They stood off him, and then he'd sprint through them and get over the line.
Yes. Well, I've never seen that done since he did it. But Daniel says
well,
this...
you must have seen him do it.
Are you sure Porky was the rugby correspondent for Talk Sport?
Yes.
I think you need to ask his mate Dave the rules.
Yeah, well, that's right,
Because that's true. Kevin says, with Italy's tactics, it's strange how no one moaned when the Aussies did the same thing a few months back.
Yes, well,
it's also been adopted in Super Rugby.
Yes,
well, that's
right.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, I think any coach... of a team like Italy, who personally, I don't think should even be in the Six Nations because, the last few years they really haven't been offering much resistance to anyone, right?
No.
But at least if they're trying now to do something new in order to gain some advantage to make the playing field a little bit more level for them, then why not?
I totally agree.
Did you watch any of the other rugby games at the weekend? Scotland-Wales was a good game.
Scotland-Wales wasn't bad.
Scotland did tremendously well. You see, they're up to 5th in the world now, Scotland.
Are they? Really?
Yeah.
What, in terms of rugby?
In terms of rugby, rankings.
Yeah, but there's only about 8 teams in the world play it, isn't
there?
Well,
no, there's a lot more than 8 because we have the Rugby World Cup, of course, which involves many more than 8 teams.
Hang on. We have the 6 nations in Europe.
Yes.
Then we have only 3 real teams in the Southern Hemisphere.
The Tri-Nations.
Yeah, that's 9.
Yes.
And then Argentina.
That's 10. Yeah, so that's already 2 more than you said.
Well, that's about it, isn't it?
What about Romania? What about all the Pacific Islands? Samoa?
Well, yeah, but they're...
Tonga?
Samoa,
they're all in the World Cup.
Samoa, Tonga, they're in the World Cup. They're just there to make up the numbers,
Well,
really.
no, they're not, actually, because if you were to say that down to anyone who's in Fiji, for example, there's another team, the Fijians and the Samoans and the Tongans supply quite a lot of the players, you might say, to New Zealand and to Australia.
Well, I was about to say, if they're any good, they change nationality anyway and become Australian or New Zealand.
Yeah, but, I mean, if you're a student of the World Cups, you would know that Tonga and Samoa and Fiji all give pretty good games, and they hit very hard, and there were plenty of England players and plenty of home nations players who have felt the full force of a Samoan or a Fijian tackling them, I can tell you that.
Really, is that the case?
So 8 is entirely incorrect.
Anyway, look, just to conclude this, World Rugby has given its backing to the referee, Romain Poitet, after Eddie Jones criticised the Frenchman for his performance during England's Six Nations victory against Italy on Sunday, i.e., they're saying, Eddie, you haven't got a case.
Right. Gareth says this, a ruck is when 2 players are contesting for the ball. Offside line is the back foot, No ruck equals no offside.
Exactly.
Yes, I think we explained that quite well, actually.
I explained it, yeah.
But, I mean, the point is, rugby being rugby, there are always going to be teams that try and sort of push the envelope, as it were, to put pressure on the other side because they don't have a level game going on.
Well, this is true.
And I would take my hat off to the Italian coach and say, brilliant, well done. Keep it up, man.
Well, some would say that it was against the spirit of the game.
Well, that's rubbish.
Well,
Absolute rubbish.
It's not. It could be against the spirit.
That's like saying, at football, diving is against the spirit of the game.
Yes.
The spirit of the game in football is to win. Same in rugby. And I think that's the way we should look at it. Now, coming up, we're going to do a bit of Postman Pork. And, of course, we're going to have heroes and villains as well. It's all in the next hour. This is Talk Sport, and we are the Two Mikes.
Hello, this is Tim Vine on Talk Sport. It's Mike Parry's post bag. I can't wait to see what's in there.
Postman Pork, I eat my chips with just a fork, 'cause then I can still talk.
Here we are, yet another sparkling edition of Postman Pork. You don't have to sing along. You're not supposed to sing it.
I think we might have missed the opener there, so I thought I'd just do it myself.
Well, once the beginning of Postman Pork has begun, it has begun. So you don't need to do it again. It is now live on Facebook. So if you wish to watch Porky opening the post as well as speaking,
please do.
This is the time to do it.
Please do. Please get it out. Now, look, I'm just going to show you. This is just a small selection of, the stuff we've got for Postman Pork this week.
Okay. You don't have to do sound effects because people can actually watch it now.
It's all right. This one. I mean, look...
I don't think you should start then.
Well, I do think I'm going to start now. But look, because of the effort that people have put into these parcels and things, we'll have a few parcels first, OK?
Yeah, let's do the parcels first.
Here's parcel one, OK? I get stuck into this.
Parcel
no problem
pork.
at all. Yeah, parcel pork. Here, I've ripped through this already. Oh, it's like,
So you don't need like a special implement.
No.
Maybe you should get like a special Porky letter opener.
No, I don't need one.
Or a letter knife or something like that.
No, here, hang on. So people just go, look. Yeah.
No, you can open it. I'm not strong enough.
Yeah. No, I can. Don't worry.
You need some help.
No, I don't need help. Look, they are. I've broken through.
OK, well done.
Here we go.
Who's it from, by the way? What does it say on the front?
What's it say on the front? It says, Sir Mike Parry. That's rather nice, isn't it?
Sir.
To be given that title, yeah.
It's not true, though.
Hey?
It's not true.
No, Sir Mike Parry, and it's Talk Sport Postman Pork.
Yeah.
And just to remind you of the address, everybody, 18 Hatfields.
So it's not Harefields.
No, Hatfields.
Hatfields.
London SE18DJ.
Well done.
And it says Post Office, scan below the right barcode. So there you go.
What?
Right, here we go. Now I've got an additional implement here to get into this.
Oh, there you go.
I just think that this white thing on the outside, see the white thing on the outside, folks? This could...
It's not from Alice, is it?
No, it's not from Alice. This could contain a message. Let me have a look. Does it contain a message?
What do you mean there's a card in there?
A card.
You shouldn't open this before we started.
No.
Take up the whole segment, opening one parcel.
Here you go. Right, here we go. Right.
What do you got?
Right, there's nothing on the outside. There are things on the inside.
Okay.
Here we go. Right, here's a letter. Oh, look. I don't know what this is. Beatlemania. This is rather nice.
Beatlemania.
Somebody has sent me a load of Beatlemania reproduced memorabilia. Right, Postman Pork, better than your average Pat and his cat. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
This comes from Mr. Ian McClune, who lives who lives in Caterham in Surrey. Thank you very much indeed.
Is that technically stockbroker belt?
It is very much stockbroker belt. He says, hello and greetings to the Pork Star and the other Mike. So you get a mention as well.
Thanks very much.
Small one.
Yeah.
I've included a present to Porky. I'm sure he will like it. I give this in thanks for all the entertainment. Thank you. I'm a fairly new fan of the Two Mikes and now addicted to the best thing to happen to radio. Thank you.
All right.
I've also included Porky's book and would be very, very happy if you could sign it and send it back.
Which one? Why are you out of breath from opening a parcel?
No, I'm not.
You are.
If you would like the return postage, please provide me with your PayPal address and I will pay for the signed book to return, no problem. No, we can actually do that ourselves here.
You can take it down to the distribution plant, can't you?
I can. Now, just to get the book out and show you, see...
Can we not move on to something else?
Hang on, it's all very well for you to mock all the time, but look at this.
I'm not mocking.
A pristine copy...
Yeah, never been read.
A pristine copy of Rooney Tunes.
You've never read it.
my best-selling book about Wayne Rooney, shortly to go on sale in China, even though Wayne isn't actually going to China.
No, he's not.
So there's
no.
that.
That's another great opportunity missed, isn't it?
But also, I want to thank him very much indeed, because he sent me some sort of memorabilia stuff about the Beatles, and the time is too short now to get into that.
I think we should look at those. But not now. No, but let's open something else first. We'll look at them at the end. But why don't you pass them to me, in fact?
Okay.
Pass them to me, and then that way I can...
okay, you have a look. That's a good idea. Good idea.
And then both of us are working, you see.
Then you can join in. That's right.
It's a bit of a manky old sort of bag, isn't it?
Well, don't say things like that. I mean, somebody's put in a great deal of effort to get this to us.
No, it's not been done by him. It's been done by somebody else.
I see, right.
Only Beatlemania.
Beatlemania, that's right.
It's bitten the dust.
Here we go. I'm just opening this second parcel.
From Edinburgh.
See what this is. Oh, hang on. There's an outside address.
Here's what you get, right?
What?
What is also available from Replica Ephemera, Titanic, Christmas Past, War at Sea, Victorian Entertainment, 1970s Children, Gardening.
Now, here's another one. This is from Joanna. It is also from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
Really?
I've got big fans down there.
It's interesting how all of these packages are coming in from round about where you live.
Look at this. Look at this.
They're not all just your alter egos.
No. Right, here we go.
What's this?
Joanna's taken a great deal of trouble.
Yeah.
My name is Joanna Barclay. Who else has got a name? Barclay.
Ross Barclay.
Thank you very much indeed. And I contacted
Barclays Bank as well.
What?
Barclays Bank.
Spelt differently.
Yeah.
This is a
Barclay
Barkley. And a nightingale.
You know, it's sounding a Geordie accent.
In Berkeley Square. Right.
Alex says, Postal Pork, I think you should just rename this part of the show as Porky's Gift Shop.
Hang on. My name is Joanna Barclay, and I contacted you via Facebook to ask for your help surprising my husband, James Barclay, for his 40th birthday.
That's
you
correct.
kindly agreed to sign a copy of DVD for him. Please find enclosed said DVD and prepaid envelope to return it.
Actually, she
Thank you for taking
contacted me
time
on Facebook.
to do this. That's right. Many thanks again. Joanna Barclay. P.S. His birthday is the 12th of March. If you can return by then, that'd be amazing.
Are you sure that she wants you to read all this out?
Yeah.
Because you'll be listening to the show.
Well, don't you worry, because this is going to happen.
You've now blown the gaff.
This is going to happen, Joanna, don't worry.
Yeah, but you've blown the gaff now.
You can
You've blown the gaff.
You can rely on the...
She was sending it in secret.
On the Portmeister. Well, it's not a secret anymore.
Really?
Right, now then.
Well done.
What do you think of my Beatles memorabilia, by the way?
I think it's rubbish.
Oh, that's not a nice thing to say. Right, now I'm going to open...
Cableros.
I'm going to open this big bag. I don't know what's in here.
I think it's worth less than the book.
It's big. Hang on. Right, here we go. So I managed to... Oh,
I'm
no.
sure it hasn't got anything nasty inside.
I'm not going to believe this.
What?
Somebody sent me Gucci.
Gucci,
yeah.
Are you sure that... Well, you haven't opened the box yet.
What?
You haven't opened the box yet.
There's no note in it.
Is
it
there?
says Postman Pork, Talk Sport, 18 Hatfields, London, SC180J. It's come from...
Yeah, Alice?
It's a small parcel postage package.
Yeah.
Costs £3.95.
That's not who sent it, though.
No, costs £3.95. I don't know where it's come from.
Maybe there's a note inside the box.
We'll have a look.
Pass me that in case you're missing the...
Okay.
Right,
let's have a look in the box. Okay, here we go. Gucci's a pretty good name, isn't it?
It's a funny sort of jiffy bag, that big though, to put put such a small box in.
Anyway, look, I've opened the top of Gucci, and then I've got another Gucci. Thank you. Open this. There is a note.
Designer brands available, of course.
Right, here we go.
Yeah.
It says, to Porky, the man of the people, and indeed I am man of the people. Enclosed is a Gucci watch.
Never had a kebab.
From my watch collection. I think it may suit you more than it suits me.
From his watch collection?
Yeah.
Why has he got a watch collection?
I don't know. And then there's a bit of a
nice
sort of...
Gucci, is it?
Not really.
You don't like it, do
you? Well, the reason I don't like it is it's a Pierre Cardin watch. I'll just pass this to you for inspection.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That is definitely right up your street. That's exactly the kind of... Because it's got a blue face, which you like.
Yeah.
It's got some. It's got one winder.
Yeah.
It appears to have a date on it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of watch you would wear.
No, it says here. Now you know how old MG felt when you stitched him up with the fake pink shirt gift.
Yeah. See, you're all excited. You get a Gucci watch there.
Best wishes from Jack. Well, can I tell you, Jack?
Well done, Jack. That's the star of the show so far.
You think that's funny, do you, Jack?
I think that's great.
Okay. Well, presents like that have a certain
This
fate,
watch
Jack,
is worth
okay?
about £1, I would say.
I would say it's worth less than £1.
Yeah.
Certainly not Gucci.
Yeah. Now, you've got time to open two more things if they don't take too long.
Think you can take the mickey out of me? You can't. Right, let's open this one here. This is to Portmeister. It says Postman Pork, 18 Hatfields. Let's open this and see what is in here. Let me see.
Who's this from?
I don't know. We're going to have a look, aren't we? Let's have a look. Here we go. Right, this is... from Lionhouse. Okay.
Lionhouse?
Lionhouse, yeah.
Lionhouse?
Lionhouse, yeah.
Is that some company?
I don't know.
There's some wallpaper.
It says, love is in the air from Lionhouse.
Yeah.
To the Porkmeister.
It must be a new book, mustn't it?
I don't know.
Well, what is it then?
I don't know. I think it's a bit of wallpaper or something.
Wallpaper?
Yeah, bit of wallpaper.
Are you sure it's not?
Yeah.
It's not some kind of PR stunt?
No, don't think so.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
There's nothing else in it?
Nothing else in there.
Okay.
So let's have a look at another one here.
All right, then.
Because we haven't got much time now. Got about a minute. Here we go. Let me see. There's one here. Oh, there's one. This is a card by the look of it. You know,
Blimey.
Celebration card.
Sorry, I've just seen a story in the Sun.
Postman Pat. Let's have a look at this. What's this? Well, it's somebody sent me a picture of a dog, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a card with a dog on it. It's not a picture of a dog.
No, it's okay.
It's a card with a dog on it.
It just says to Postman Pork.
Yeah.
The Porkmeister.
Yes.
Keep it up. And remember.
Keep what up?
Eh?
Keep what up?
I don't know. It just says keep it up. It says, look after all animals. Angling is a blood sport. Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't say who it's from either.
It's not Nigel Botherway, is it?
No, it's not Nigel Botherway, no. So that's very nice. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, I mean, see the time.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about the time.
It's time to pack up your Postman
There's one here
Porks.
from PFA Enterprises. That's
PFA?
the Professional Football Association, yeah.
Isn't that from your mate, what's his name?
Could be from Graham.
Graham who?
Well, you know.
Graham who?
Who runs the PFA?
Graham.
Gordon.
Graham.
Gordon. Could be Gordon. Could be Gordon.
You mean Gordon Taylor?
Yeah, there's a few more here as well.
No, we haven't got time for all that.
Well, you know, I don't know. You know, you see, the thing is, I like to.
We're out of time. You took so long opening the first one.
No. Don't worry. It's all good stuff. I want to thank everybody for writing.
Thank you very much.
Remember, Postman Pork, Talksport, 18 Hatfields, London, SE1.
Yeah.
8DJ.
Well done.
And communicate.
Yeah, that was Postman Pork. This is Talksport.
Postman Pork, I eat my chips with just a fork, 'cause then I can still talk.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Take her on my highway for a little spin. I wanna see the kind of shape she's in. And I got a brand new star. Jack her up, baby, go and open the hood. I wanna check if the oil smells good. Smells like caviar.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. If you want to go back and watch that again, or if you missed it, it is on Facebook Live, of course, but it is recorded there as well. So the next time you go onto Facebook, onto the Two Mics page, you'll be able to see Postman Pork in all its glory. David has posted a great picture of the state of Postman Pork. What are you doing now?
Sorry, I'm just packaging things up.
Well, don't package things up.
Okay.
It's finished now.
Okay.
Stewie says this. Has the rugby correspondent El Planco, Porky, forgotten that Japan beat the Springboks in the last World Cup? They did indeed.
Well, that's
you
right.
obviously have forgotten that.
Yeah,
and James says Porky's rugby knowledge is zero. Talksport Rugby World Cup 2007 chief correspondent.
Yes.
You must be joking. And then he adds, Italy's ruckless tactics confused England's pack until the point when the ref told them, "I'm not your coach. You should know the rules."
Yes.
Which I think is fair enough.
Yes, I think it's fair enough.
So I think basically here's a great one from Lee.
Yes.
He says, MG, I reckon Porky's buying these gifts himself and giving them to the dispatch office to send in.
No, not at all. Really, believe me.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit confusing and coincidental, is it not?
Yes.
That you are, in fact, receiving all this stuff from Surrey.
Yeah.
Which is where you live.
Well, that's because I suppose I am a sort of, poster boy for Surrey Stockbroker Belt, if you think about it, right?
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Porky actually thought he was getting a Gucci. #plank, says Davies.
I did.
And Ian says, Porky, I have the draft of the Two Mics' next book. I demand a watch collection for return of said draft.
Well, you can
have
have
you
this
seen
watch,
the time?
Right? It's a tatty old bit of Pierre Cardin tat.
And both Andy and Bernie are full of praise for Jack. Who, as they say, has totally tucked you up.
Oh, yeah, really?
Well played, Jack.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
And here's one from Daniel. Did I just see MG grabbing the Sun and turning straight to page 3? during Postman Pork. I think he was bored.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I was just leafing through some of the stories inside the Sun, and generally what happens is when you turn the first page, it turns to page 2 and page 3.
Yes.
And then when you turn it again, it turns to 4 and 5, and then 6 and 7, and then 8 and 9. So, funnily enough, that's exactly how I read newspapers.
Exactly.
My newspaper reading lesson number 1.
Exactly.
Now, coming up later, we've got heroes and villains. So I don't know whether you've prepared 2 of each.
Oh, yes, that's all done.
The score is about 5-2 now, isn't it?
Well, I think it's a bit closer than that. But,
no, I think it's 5-2.
Listen, I want to tell you about this. I want to tell you about a story, right? You know, from Cheltenham.
Hey?
Now, a story from Cheltenham.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Cheltenham has got a mare, okay?
Has it?
Yes.
Well, it's got lots of different horses there.
No.
The festival.
You fool. It's got a mayor, M-A-Y-O-R. Councillor Ryder
Oh, I
is
see.
the mayor,
Why
right?
have they got a mayor? Is he one of those guys that's a sort of ceremonial mayor? Not like a proper mayor like London.
It's a lady. It's a lady.
Yeah, but it's not like... Is it like a Lord Mayor, or is it an actual mayor?
When I worked in Chester as a reporter, we always talked about the mayor as the guy who sits as the chairman of the council,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, but you see, a lot of places have to have a council leader. Not everywhere has an actual mayor.
No, most northern towns have a mayor.
I mean, I remember when I was in Edinburgh, for example, the council was run by the majority party,
yes,
which I think was the SNP at the time.
Yeah.
But the council leader was the council leader, wasn't the mayor of Edinburgh.
Okay, well, they have a council leader, obviously, but they also have, most towns I've been to have a mayor. In fact, last time I started the Harefield Fun Run, the mayor of the local...
Harefield Fun Run?
Yeah.
That must be great fun.
Harefield Hospital.
Well, a load of people running around attached to drips and things.
Yeah, some of them, yeah.
Well, how much fun is that?
Well, they only go like 1 kilometre, because not very well.
Well, they're waiting for heart transplants, aren't they?
Some of them are,
That's a bit cruel.
Yeah. No, actually, the
run.
ones on the list are not allowed to run, but those who've had transplants are allowed to run. So, but the mayor of the local town, I'm just trying to think which is the local town near Harefield.
Isn't it Harefield?
Yeah, but he wasn't mayor of Harefield. He's mayor of the town nearby with the railway station. I've forgotten what it's called now.
Uxbridge.
Uxbridge. I think it was Uxbridge. I think you're right, yeah. He turns up, and what they do is these mayors, they wear a robe, but then they always wear a hat, a bit like Nelson's hat, you know what I mean?
What? Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's what I mean by ceremonial, because, for example, you know how we have the Lord Mayor's show
That's right,
here?
yeah.
The Lord Mayor is still the Lord Mayor of London.
Yes, that's right.
But it's not really a political job.
No. And he takes his hat off, and as they all start running, he waves his hat at them like it's some great, tribute or something like that, or how pleased they should be. And I have to say, this guy this year, it's about 2 years ago, this, by the way, so I'm not besmirching the name of the current mayor. I mean, you couldn't get him off the microphone. You know, this guy really thought he was a celebrity of the whole
Well, you're also
event.
involved in being on the microphone.
Well, I was organising the whole event.
Well, he probably thought the same about you.
Well, no, he didn't.
I mean, we've all seen the video from Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Where you grab the microphone off, is it Kelly?
Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly Sommers?
Kelly Sommers.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But that was because I had something to say. Anyway, look, the reason I'm telling you all this is that the mayor of Cheltenham is a lady called, nice lady, Councillor, oh no, minute. Well, so
how do you know she's nice?
Councillor Ryder, apparently, no, hang on, let me get this right. The town's, right, now what happens is the town's mayor in Cheltenham has got a prime parking spot.
Right.
And what happens is, recently, every day, it's been occupied by a beautiful, sort of auburn-coloured Lamborghini worth £250,000.
Auburn-coloured?
Well, it's sort of orange, sort of yellow, auburny colour.
Oh, it's yellow?
Yeah, yellow, okay. Yeah,
not auburn, it's auburn's reddish, isn't it?
Yeah. So anyway...
Is this her car?
No, this is the very interesting point. So, what it's saying is that while some might think that the Lamborghini belongs to the first citizen, Councillor Chris Ryder, right?
Who's a woman.
Well, no. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, she's a woman. Yeah, Councillor...
So it's short for Christine.
Christine Ryder, that's right, yeah.
Okay.
It is, in fact, owned by a young businessman who brazenly steals the spot on this road near the Civic Centre, deeming it impossible to find one anywhere else. Now, despite the fact he's had several £40 parking fines in 8 months, Ash White, who is the businessman, who is aged...
I don't know.
22.
22,
but as
I'm always a bit suspicious of 22-year-old businessmen.
So am I. You've got £250,000 Lamborghinis.
You think you might have a rich daddy?
Well, I'm not saying that at all. But the £250,000 Lamborghini Huracan is parked there, and so far it stays there because he's employed a very expensive lawyer to find a legal technicality.
Oh yeah.
Parking law expert Nigel Wise,
Is he the guy that defends all the celebs?
I don't know.
I know it's the speeding guy, isn't
it? That's right, yeah. Parking law expert Nigel Wise, who helped Mr White fight his fines, argued that there is no such thing as a priority space for a mayor in traffic signage regulations.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And as a result, 6 of the 8 tickets so far have been quashed.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I'm quite in favour of that kind of rebellion, actually.
So am I.
To say to these tin pot officials.
Absolutely.
You know, what makes you think you're better than everybody else?
Absolutely, I totally agree. Yeah. Gloucestershire County Council admitted some tickets were invalid, but only as the words Mayor's Car, right, were painted inside the marked bay.
Yes.
Others were overturned because they issued the wrong contravention on the ticket, said a spokesman for the council.
Yeah, because if they put down parking in the Mayor's Bay,
exactly,
that's not enforceable, right?
Exactly right. But now they have the town have gone to the cost and the expense of repainting the Mayor's Car sign outside of the box instead of in it. Although Mr. Wise, the lawyer, has said, well, that's a complete waste of time. We'll challenge that as well.
Yeah, good.
He says that's a waste of taxpayers' money, and he insists it still fails to comply with the 2002 traffic regulations.
I like this guy.
Yeah. He said all they're doing is putting up restrictions willy-nilly. Mr. White, the 22-year-old businessman, will still park his car in the space and pay off fines as and when they are due.
They are due, yes.
Yeah.
So he's had to pay for, what, 2 out of the 8 or something?
2 out of the 8 so far, yeah.
Okay.
Now, it says here, Mr. White, this is the 22-year-old, who comes from Cheltenham, right, is chief executive and founder of menswear brand Hera. H-E-R-A.
H-E-R-A.
Yeah. Which is a London business.
Is it?
And speaking after his last set of tickets, he said, the tickets don't bother me. The council argued laws had since been updated, but Nigel Wriglaw, Director of Communities and Infrastructure, that's his job at Cheltenham, actually.
Yeah.
Nigel Wriglaw, Director of Communities and Infrastructure, said residents have the option to lodge any appeal on any ticket we issue. I mean, I'd love to know where this guy started his business. It's called Hera, H-E-R-A, so we'll have a look at that.
I'm not sure I've heard of it.
We'll have a look at that. He lives in Cheltenham, apparently. At 22, he's made enough money to buy a £250,000 Lamborghini car and runs a successful business in London.
Yeah.
That guy's some whiz kid.
Well, he is, if indeed he is as rich from the business as he says he is.
Absolutely.
Maybe he's just rich. Maybe he was rich to begin with.
Well, maybe he was. But, I mean, you know, you've got to be somebody to be running around in a car like that at 22.
Hera, did you know, was the goddess of women and marriage in Greek mythology.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
She's the daughter of the Titans Cronus and Rhea.
That is very interesting indeed, is it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hera London apparently has men's clothing, including spray-on jeans.
Spray-on jeans?
There's a picture of one of the models.
Yeah. They're not literally spray-on jeans, are they?
Well, no, I think they just look like them.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
There's a tattooed oik.
Oh, golly, he doesn't look very good. He looks like a tribesman from the Amazon. He does.
How about this from Jerry? Are there any more letters from Alice Parry?
No, there is no Alice Parry, believe me.
No, I know there isn't one.
Yeah,
you are her. This is
no,
Talk Sport.
Not at all.
Music signifies only one thing, of course, and that is another episode of Heroes and Villains. 5-3 to me at the moment. Porky could draw one closer, or I could stretch away into the distance and go up to 6-3. Now, I always offer you the opportunity to go either first or second with one of your choices. What would you like to say?
I will allow you to go first.
Okay.
As there are so many heroes and villains around this weekend.
There certainly are. I'm going to go first with my hero of the weekend.
Right.
And I'm going to have to say Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yes.
A man who I predicted would be brilliant when he came to this country to play the Premier League for the first time. I said I would probably suspect that he'll become an Eric Cantona-like figure at Manchester United, which now everybody's saying he has become. You know, he's a guy who, when he was asked after the game yesterday, is this the beginning of something special for Manchester United?
Yes.
He said, well, it's already special because I am here.
Yes, that's
I mean,
right.
he's the kind of guy he is. He's very full of himself, but with good reason. He's not over the hill. Jose Mourinho's saying that Manchester United fans should go and stay outside his house, and camp out there until he agrees to sign on for another season.
Yes.
And I think he has completely and utterly transformed Manchester United.
Yeah.
He's brought yet more sort of glamour and pizzazz to the Premier League. And I think this weekend, having single-handedly won the League Cup final for Manchester United with his 2 goals, I think you can't say anything other than he is the hero of the weekend.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
That's my first one.
Right, that's your first?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go with my first villain.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, go on.
My first villain, it's a bit obvious, but it has to be, is Brian Cullinan.
Well, it is
Chairman,
obvious,
PwC America, who completely screwed up the Oscar Awards, one of the biggest television events in the world, and something that's been in the gift of his company for 88 years, and somehow managed to confuse 2 cards in an amazing blunder.
Well, it's clearly got a system that doesn't work, right?
Well, it's always worked in the past. An amazing blunder which embarrassed Warren Beatty, embarrassed everybody concerned with the Oscars, and those Oscars, as Sandro told us earlier, this year, 2017, will only forever now be remembered for the blunder and not for the film or the actors who won the gongs.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, a very obvious one, I suppose.
Well, but yours is a very obvious one. Zlatan Ibrahimovic deserves to be a hero. Deserves to be a hero, but scoring 2 goals in a Wembley final and being Zlatan, that is a very obvious one.
Okay.
2 very obvious ones.
Well, let's go for something slightly less obvious then.
Yes.
I'm going to go with my next villain, or my first villain of the night, and it is, of course, some fans from Crystal Palace.
Yes.
Now, I don't know whether you saw over the weekend, they were playing Middlesbrough, and they saw the Middlesbrough coach on parked up, and they thought, oh, this is a good idea to vandalise, so they decided to vandalise the Middlesbrough coach, including painting on it various bits of graffiti about Crystal Palace, saying how great it was. Yeah. Unfortunately, however, it turns out that Middlesbrough
it was their own team coach.
Didn't have a coach with them, and Crystal Palace had rented them their own coach, so it's actually Crystal Palace's coach that they have defaced and that they've caused £38,000 worth of damage to. So you'd have to say the collection of planks that are those particular Crystal Palace fans are the villains of the weekend.
I thought actually it was the Crystal Palace team coach, and Crystal Palace were staying at that hotel.
Yes,
they didn't realise.
But they thought it was Middlesbrough's coach.
Yeah, they
That's
did.
What I'm saying.
Yeah, but they didn't lend a coach to anybody. It was the Crystal Palace team coach at that hotel.
My understanding was that it was Middlesbrough. That it was the Middlesbrough that were in it.
It wasn't. It was what happened was, for the first time under Sam, he's decided to invoke a policy where the team stay together the night before the game.
Oh, okay.
And the fans had never been used to that before.
Oh, okay.
So the only coach that ever used to turn up at this hotel used to be the opposition coach, but it was actually the Palace coach.
Well, so whatever they've done, they've managed to cause their club £38,000 worth of damage.
Okay. Right, I'm going to go for my second villain.
Okay.
My second villain is Leandro Bacuna, the Aston Villa player.
Okay.
This is a man who actually chest shoved.
They've just announced a massive loss, haven't they?
Villa have announced an £87 million loss. Leandro Bacuna, the Aston Villa player, will now be banned for 3 games because he actually chested the assistant referee when he challenged the way that the ball had been given for the throw-in in the Villa versus Derby game.
No.
I mean, if you let anarchy like that enter into football, then all authority has been lost. This young man should be banned for at least 10 games.
10 games?
Yeah, because you can't go around literally physically intimidating and threatening the assistant referee, the man that we always knew throughout our adoration of football as the linesman.
Yes.
You cannot go around bullying and bashing up the linesman. So
shocking behaviour.
Leandro Bacuna is my second villain.
Yes, well, that's a bit less obvious, so I'll go along with that.
Yeah.
My second hero has to be a man who's been in the news all over the weekend, and that is, of course, Claudio Ranieri.
Yeah.
Claudio Ranieri, a man who lots of people were bleeding and crying about and saying it was terrible that he was fired.
Yes.
He has showed himself to be a man of utter class throughout his time at Leicester, and also during his firing from Leicester. You know, he went back to see the boys on the training ground the day before the weekend. He then went back to his favourite Italian restaurant in Leicester to say cheerio to everybody. It now emerges that he's given half of his money away to the Leicester charity.
£1.5 million. It's been denied.
Well, they are denying it because he doesn't want anyone to really know about it.
Well, it's been denied.
The bottom line is that this guy has proved himself to be completely and utterly decent, a man that football is the better of because he's been involved in it. Regardless of what happens to Leicester, he will go down in history as their greatest manager, and I think that's only right. And so this weekend, I think we should give him the honour of making him a hero.
I would totally disagree with that because I'd say, actually, I don't know how you can call the guy a hero when he was taking Leicester towards relegation.
Yeah, but he didn't take them to relegation.
Well,
he was fine. He can now always have it on his conscience. I did not take Leicester down.
Yeah, okay.
Somebody else can have that on their conscience, but not him.
Yeah, well, in complete contrast to that, I'm going to name as my first hero of the weekend Jamie Vardy. Because Jamie Vardy has restored the fortunes of Leicester City in the wake of the manager leaving. It was clear that the manager couldn't get a grip of the players now that they're Premier League champions. And on him leaving, Jamie Vardy stepped up to the plate, scored 2 goals last night, beat Liverpool 3-1.
Why couldn't he do that before?
He couldn't do it before because the manager didn't have the players in the right mindset to approach games as Premier League champions.
You're saying the players have nothing to do with the fact that they're down near the bottom of the division.
I'm saying that players are like an orchestra. They need a good conductor.
Well, they had a good conductor.
No,
the conductor had failed conductor the year before.
The year before they had, but he was then conducting
You don't think
brass
it's anything
band.
to do with the fact that they were being paid more money and that they basically were spending too much time in OK Magazine?
He was conducting a brass band last season, which suddenly went and turned into a symphony orchestra. When it became a symphony orchestra, the conductor wasn't up to conducting them, and Jamie Vardy, released from the shackles now of whatever his manager was doing to him, has become a hero again, and he was outstanding last night. He's my first hero.
Really?
Yes.
OK. Well, my second villain is one which you might find a little bit obscure. It's actually from the French Ligue 1. And it is about
French
a young...
Foreign Legion?
Not the French Foreign Legion, no, Ligue 1, which is where the teams like PSG and Monaco play, right?
Yes.
Lyon also play there. A young Lyon fan was so excited about a goal that was scored and about a result that was managed to get by Olympique Lyonnais at the park there.
Yes.
He went on the pitch to get a selfie with Alexandre Lacazette and Memphis Depay, who was playing his first game there, having been sold off by Manchester United.
Yes.
And guess what? Lyon have said that he had no right to be on the pitch, he had no right to be taking pictures, and they're going to sue him. He's 15 years of age, and I really think they need to get a life and leave him alone.
Yes.
And let him have his little picture.
Yes, I totally agree
Isn't
with
that
you.
ridiculous?
Well, sort of, but it's very obscure, and
Why is it obscure?
I'm not sure it'll resonate with many people, you know what I mean?
It's not about resonating with people. You see, the problem with you in these competitions that we have is that you think it's some kind of, thing about being popular. You think if you win it makes you popular. If you lose it makes you unpopular. It doesn't.
No, I didn't say that. No,
it doesn't.
Didn't mean that at all, okay?
All right.
Right, okay. So my second hero of the week... Excuse me, sorry. My second hero...
make it through the week. It's more important.
My second hero of the week, and...
you sure you've not done 2 heroes?
No, I've done 1 hero. I've done Jamie Vardy. My second hero of the week is the Golden Vision.
The Golden Vision.
Alex Young.
He's dead.
I know, he died yesterday.
Yeah.
And I have to signal him as one of my heroes because he truly is. He was the first footballing hero I ever had.
Okay.
I remember going to Goodison Park when I was about 7. Everton were playing Spurs. Jimmy Greaves was playing for Spurs. I didn't care about that. Didn't care about Alan Gilzine or Pat Jennings. I cared only about the blonde-haired, blue-eyed man who was centre forward for Everton. It was Alex Young. And he truly was a man who floated like a butterfly. He didn't run. He was just a dream and a hero to millions and millions and millions of Everton fans around the world through probably 5 or 6 decades. Very sad to hear that he's died. He brought so much pleasure to so many people. Yeah,
but I mean, you've previously attacked me for using somebody who died as a hero.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
No, I haven't.
You did exactly
that.
Who was
it? Who was it?
I think it was somebody like I can't remember who
somebody
it was.
Like you, so you can't remember.
No, I can't remember, but I do. But I do remember you doing
it
because you have done that in the past, and you've said that it's nonsensical. To make somebody a hero because they've died.
No. It's not just because he died. It's because of celebrating his life and what he did. Do you know in 1967 or 68, when he was still playing, a Liverpool playwright wrote a TV play called The Golden Vision, and it was about Alex Young and the effect that he had on the lives of hundreds of thousands of people on Merseyside at Everton's centre forward, to the extent where it was the first time ever that football fans has to have their hearse driven around the ground, Goodison Park, after they died, because they were so imbued with the wonderment of their club.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all very poetic.
Truly was a great man.
I think it's a bit of a desperate grab.
Well, that's a terrible thing to say.
I think it is.
To speak ill of the dead like that is shocking.
Well, you don't bring it. I'm not speaking ill of the dead. You're bringing that into a competition which is supposed to be light-hearted in order to try and win it. But
how is it supposed to be light-hearted? It's supposed to be
Heroes
serious.
and Villains is supposed to be light-hearted.
Well, I don't think there's anything light-hearted about Brian Cullinan, the chairman of PwC, wrecking the...
Of course it's funny.
Wrecking
the
the
Oscars getting screwed up is hilarious.
I don't think it's funny.
It's hardly tragic, is it?
I think it's a I think it's a disgrace.
Alan says this, are the Heroes and Villains not meant to be from last week? Vardy scored this week.
No, of course they're not. They're supposed to be at any time up to the time this show starts tonight.
Okay.
So I think you'll find that far from being living in the past, mate, I'm completely contemporary.
There you go.
Yes.
Stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yes.
Stop tweeting in and being critical of Porky. Doesn't
That's
like
right.
it.
That's right.
The judgment will be made over the course of the next couple of minutes.
Thank you.
And the Heroes and Villains score will be released shortly.
Actually, because
it is.
That has been concerning me for the last half hour. How am I going to get home tonight?
Well, you'll figure it out. Why don't you just do what you did on the way in and stick your hand up, go up to Stamford Street, stick your arm up, and see if you can fall on the mercy of a good Samaritan.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Or you could just pay for a cab.
Yeah.
You could do that.
Well, if you can get a cab who wants to go down to Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, without...
Yeah, well, it's very dangerous down there because the tyres might all blow out.
Well, you never know.
There is that. Now, we were just involved in another section of Heroes and Villains.
Yes.
Mr. Dave Levine is here to give us the wisdom of his judgment on it.
So, good evening.
Mr. Levine, very good evening to you.
Envelope, please. Thank you. Right, here's the envelope, Heroes and Villains. I will now open it.
Yeah, you're doing your best Warren Beatty impersonation.
Indeed.
You're not looking gormless enough.
Not looking gormless enough.
And the winner is...
Ladies and gentlemen, the card in front of me says the winner is...
It's Emma Stone, isn't it?
The winner is Mike. But I shall now flick open the appropriate... And it says...
Yes.
Mike Parry!
Mike Parry!
Whoa, wait. Sorry,
Maybe it's the wrong envelope.
What?
It could be the wrong envelope.
It's the wrong envelope.
What?
He's having a bit of a laugh with you. It's the wrong envelope.
What are you on about?
You've opened the wrong envelope. I blame that guy Brian Cullinan.
Well, hang on.
This was PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Hang on. This had better have the same result.
Well, it may not have.
Could be a draw.
Yes,
I've got this from Peter, who says, a weak effort from both mites until the last entry where MG finally landed a solid blow. Lyon Chiefs planks of the week. MG wins.
Rubbish. The winner, ladies and gentlemen, in the revised envelope is, again, Mike. When I flip it open, it says Graham.
Yeah, so
no,
there we are.
I'm not having it,
it's
you
6-3.
No.
It's 6-3.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No.
It's 6-3. Well, maybe if you'd opened the envelopes in the opposite order, that would have been made more sense.
That is the most public form of gerrymandering that's ever taken place on this show, and that's saying something.
There's been no gerrymandering
I reject this result.
You're now turning into one of those anti-Trump protesters.
Sack the bum who's chairman of the board.
Why don't you give us a reason why I won?
Okay, so it's actually, apart from the fact that you had very good ones, Mike, I did quite like Leon, I like Zlatan, but it's actually that Porky's show made some strange choices. I don't think Vardy was even the best striker of the weekend.
Well, he certainly was the best striker last night when Leicester needed a revival of their fortunes.
Yeah, I mean, Lee says this. I mean, Porky, you're a plank. Vardy is definitely a villain. Those players are all villains and lazy at that.
Absolutely. He hasn't scored in 600 Premier League minutes.
Yeah, 603.
603 minutes he hasn't put in a performance. The manager goes and he suddenly puts in a performance.
Yeah.
The whole Leicester team should be ashamed of themselves. Leon was great. Palace Vandals, I hadn't seen that story. It was great. I like Bakuna. But pulling on the heartstrings with one of your heroes, shameless.
No.
Shameless.
It had to be done.
So yeah,
I could not have lived with my conscience, even if it cost me.
No, you see, that's
even
fair
if it
enough.
cost me the competition.
But that's fair enough. There's never a truer word spoken, and I respect you for using him because he was your hero.
Yes.
But as long as you didn't expect it to win over Mr. Levine, then I think that's fair enough.
Well,
so 6-3 then. Thank you very much indeed. By the way, for anyone who wasn't around earlier, we did record the Postman Pork, which is now actually turning quite amusing because people are saying that the great unwashed out there are getting the idea that what they want to do is just send you a load of old tat.
Yeah, well, send me old tat, go straight in the bin. Okay, that's the warning. Old tat in the bin.
But I think that's what you're going to get from now on.
Yeah.
Here it is. It's from a World Traveller. The Great Unwashed are sussing out Porky's rip-off present scam, and they started to send him utter tat.
Oh, yeah.
That is very funny.
Yeah. Well, utter tat in the bin, or burn it, because it might be full of germs and that sort of stuff.
Well, you can't burn stuff in the studio.
Yeah, we'll go. Well, I'll find an incinerator.
Do you know
somewhere.
somebody actually asked today whether we could have a pancake tossing scenario because it's Pancake Day today, Tuesday. Yeah,
of course.
Ash Wednesday on Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
So will you be partaking in any pancake-like activities?
I like pancakes. I might go and buy myself a pancake mix and you just put it into a very hot pan.
Pancake mix is okay. Well, I think you probably have to add water to it, because pancake mix generally is powdery.
That's right.
There are several you can get. Some you add eggs to, and some you add water to.
Yeah,
I suspect the one you'll get is the one you might have to add an egg to, but you don't eat eggs, do you?
No, I don't eat eggs. Lemon and sugar. And I'm away.
Lemon and
I'm
sugar?
sure you can get a powder one that you just put into a bit of water. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. You just add water.
And pour it into,
but don't put it in.
Put in the pan? Hot fat.
I would. You could use a bit of butter, maybe.
Butter. Okay. I'll think about that. Now, then, I'll tell you what I'll talk to you about, because we forgot to talk about it last week, but it's very interesting because we spotted it first, and a lot of papers picked up on it on Sunday, Monday. The Lost Beatle. The
Lost Beatle.
Yeah, the guy who was the drummer.
Well, not Pete Best, you mean?
No. Sorry, I thought we knew about this. What happened
think we did talk about this.
Ringo Starr got tonsillitis as the Beatles embarked on their first tour.
Right.
In 1963. I know it's going back a long way. I know people say, another Beatles story, but it's not. This is historical.
Is this first tour of America, you mean? Or...
The first world tour. They started in Scandinavia and went to Australia.
Right.
Now, the problem was Ringo was taken into hospital with tonsillitis, and so for 13 days, his job was taken by a guy called Jimmy Nicol. Now, we knew a Jimmy Nicol in Fleet Street. Do you remember?
That was the Prince of Darkness, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jimmy Nick, as he was known, the Prince of Darkness.
Who actually died only recently.
He died only recently. He died late last year, and, he was a great character and a great colleague.
He was a Geordie, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't Jimmy. Jimmy was a Southerner through and through. That's why I knew so many of the Met policemen, because he'd sort of grown up with them and that kind of stuff, yeah.
Because I seem to remember he had an accent of some kind.
No, he was, okay, kid, he called everybody kid. Hey, fast guy, hey, big guy, hey, guy.
Big noise, he used to call
Big noise, okay, big noise, and all that kind of stuff. And Jimmy Nicol died. But anyway, this guy called Jimmy Nicol is an amazing story. And this is not even really a Beatles story. What's happening is somebody is now making a programme about Jimmy Nicol.
Okay.
And the reason is...
And is he still around, or is he
this is the
no longer with us?
This is the most intriguing story of the lot. He did the 13 days as the Beatles drummer and then went back to complete oblivion. No, 1 minute he was being mobbed by girls and people trying to break into his hotel room, and he was driving around in chauffeur-driven limos and all that. And then the moment Ringo came back, he was just said thanks very much. And the next day, he remembers queuing up at a bus station and nobody even recognised him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And the reason this is so intriguing is that somebody's now making a film about him, but he disappeared 4 years ago and nobody knows where he is.
I was going to say, so he's lived presumably a life in relative obscurity since that moment.
Utter obscurity.
Does it say what he's been doing, or what sort of...
Mostly poverty-stricken.
Right.
For 13 days in...
Mostly poverty-stricken?
Yes, no, seriously. For 13 days in 1964, he lived the dream as a member of the Beatles at the start of their first world tour. But as quickly as fame arrived, it disappeared. The drummer vanished from public view and was last heard of talking about starting a new life in Mexico 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
More than half a century after temporarily replacing Ringo Starr, Nicol will once again be thrust into the spotlight with plans for a Hollywood film about his intriguing life. But his son, who has not even heard from his father for 13 years... Right? Just imagine that.
Yeah.
Said that the reclusive musician would be mortified by the global intention. The film rights to a book about Nicol's life have been bought by the son of the late singer Roy Orbison.
Right.
It is a story of betrayal, substance abuse, bankruptcy and an eventual disappearance that leads many to question whether or not he's even dead or alive.
Wow. And so did he not play in any other sort of bands? Or
never.
He never got adopted by any other groups of any kind?
Never. Nicol was recruited by the Beatles a day before the band departed for a tour of Denmark, Holland, Hong Kong, Australia and New Zealand after Starr, who had replaced Pete Best as the band's drummer only 2 years earlier.
Would that have been with the other manager that we talked about?
No, this was with Epstein.
So this was
definitely with Epstein, yeah. After Ringo was taken to hospital with tonsillitis. When Starr recovered, the substitute was out. The fame and the girls disappeared, and within a decade, Nicol reports came in that Nicol was living as a recluse. His son, Howie Nicol, who's now 58, that's how long this has been going on, his son is 58, understands his father's desire to remain undiscovered. He said, imagine what you did when you were 23 or 24. You were one of the world's most famous people, and it's followed you around for the rest of your life.
But would it have, though? Because, I mean, he wouldn't have been... I mean, if this guy...
It has in his own head.
Yeah, but I mean, for example, if you could be standing in a bar next to him and you wouldn't recognise him, you wouldn't know that he'd ever been in the Beatles, you wouldn't know whatever unless he started telling you about it.
No, absolutely.
I mean, I vaguely remember a story about Ringo Starr having tonsillitis and not playing in some of the shows.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've never heard of this guy.
Yeah, well, obviously not. But there's a picture of him here with the Beatles. Look, sitting there on the drum kit with the Lennon, McCartney, and Harrison. And so, you know, he was an intimate member of the group.
Yeah.
Anyway, Howie Nickel, this is the son, who's 58, who is an award-winning BAFTA artist. Won a BAFTA for his work as a sound recordist on the Beatles anthology. Right. A documentary from 1996. He said, you know, to be honest, my dad and I squared things away a long time ago. I completely respect what he wants to do and how he wants to approach his life. He gave me instructions as to what to do when people would come knocking on the door. He said the best thing to do is to tell everybody that I am dead.
Really?
And then they will go away and not bother you.
So
your life will not be ruined like mine.
This was the people who would come looking for him because he was famous at that point.
For historical purposes. Yeah. He says he is sure his father would not approve of the film being planned by Alex Orbison, who's also making it with Ashley Hamilton, the son of the actor George Hamilton.
Right.
He said he'll be mortified if there's a film about his life which will define him. It'll be terrible. It was just 2 weeks in his life out of his whole life of 77
That's
years.
Amazing, isn't it?
It was 2 weeks in his life. I can understand why historians and fans are interested, and I'm very interested myself. But it's an enormous thing that he had to cope with.
Yeah.
You know, the massive worldwide fame to nothing overnight.
And you'd wonder why he wasn't sort of approached to do anything else. I mean,
exactly.
Having spent, how many, 7, 8 nights with them?
13 days with the Beatles.
But I mean, in terms of number of shows, say 7 or 8 shows.
Yeah, probably
9,
7 or 8 shows,
That he wasn't maybe drafted in to work on an album with them.
It's just unbelievable.
Or, you know, they wouldn't have thought to...
Yeah.
I mean, it shows you in a way, I suppose, how ruthless Epstein was.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
but I mean, what else could you do with the guy? You couldn't take him along as reserve drummer everywhere, could you?
Well, no, I suppose not. But you'd think there might have been some work they could have thrown his way if he was that poor.
Let me just finish this, because time is
very limited.
Howie Nickel, our son, says, I've no idea of my father's location. I don't even know if he's still alive. He would now be 77 if he is. I tried to collect mementos of him on the internet because they're not, they're so rare. But frankly, nobody knows. It is quite nice for me and my family to at least have the memories of him. The last confirmed sighting of Nickel was outside a rented first-floor flat in a rubbish-strewn alleyway in Kentish Town, North London.
Right.
A neighbour said this week that Nickel and a woman called Josephina, who I presume to be his wife or girlfriend, left here 4 years ago, saying they were going to Mexico. Nobody's ever heard of him since.
Amazing story.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to the picture coming out, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether or not it's ever done, but we shall see. Now, tomorrow night we're going to talk about the moon and this new Musk idea. You know, Elon Musk, the guy who runs SpaceX.
Indeed.
The idea that they're going to fly a couple of punters around the moon.
That's right.
You won't say who they are or how much money they've paid.
That's right.
But it's a massive story. We'll do that tomorrow night with an astronomer.
Indeed.
And also, of course, a great big game tomorrow. Newcastle against Brighton at the top of the Championship.
It's a huge game.
Which we will bring you
huge game.
Lots of reaction on, because we've been blamed for somehow putting Rafa Benitez off his job.
Exactly.
By suggesting that he might want to go to somewhere else like China.
Exactly.
But we'll find out all about that tomorrow.
Well, I've got to get home yet.
Well, I don't care how you get home.
What do you mean you don't care I get home?
As long as you get home and get back here by tomorrow.
Oh, yeah?
You know, if I were you, I'd get back to the car.
I've got to get to Quick Fit in the morning.
Dump the car, right? Get rid of it.
I'm not dumping the car.
Flog it to somebody. It's an absolute, wreck. It's an old jalopy. Get rid of it. Get a decent car.
It's 1 year
prepare
old.
yourself better for tonight's show. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV. Definitely right up your street. That's exactly the kind of... Because it's got a blue face, which you like.
Yeah.
It's got some... it's got one winder.
Yeah.
It appears to have a date on it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of what you would wear.
No, it says here, now you know how old MG felt when you stitched him up with the fake pink shirt gift.
Yeah, so you were all excited you get a Gucci watch there.
Best wishes from Jack. Well, can I tell you, Jack?
Well done, Jack. That's the star of the show so far.
You think that's funny, do you, Jack?
I think that's great.
Okay. Well, presents like that have a certain
This
fate,
watch
Jack,
is worth
okay?
about £1, I would say.
I would say it's worth less than £1.
Yeah.
Certainly not Gucci.
Yeah. Now, you've got time to open 2 more things if they don't take too long.
Think you can take the mickey out of me? You can't. The light is broken. I come this way every night. The light is broken. I cannot drive around you. You must move your car right now.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
I don't understand it. There is more rubbish on the roads these days than there ever used to be.
More rubbish on the radio as well.